buy a beer in the neighborhood. Call Joe Murray.
I happen to trust Joe Murray.
First time I ever met Joe Murray was at...
All right. No Joe Murray tonight. It's Joe's birthday. Happy birthday to Joe. So if you see him out and about, I'm sure he'll end up at the Kowloon later on tonight. What do you think Joe Murray's ordering at the Kowloon on his birthday? That's going to be a scene unlike any other. So very happy birthday to Joe. It's Matt McCarthy, and for Joe, we got a full 4 hours tonight. How about that? Let me tell you, Skaz, I came in prepared. The professional that I am, I was going to do a whole segment on why I felt really good about where the Patriots offseason was headed, particularly with the latest reporting on A.J. Brown. I felt really confident that the Patriots were going to land A.J. Brown. And as the second I'm walking on the air, we have, I want to call it developing/breaking news.
This is Breaking Sports News, powered by Valvoline Instant Oil Change on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Diana Rossini. Blue check mark. After serious conversations with both the Rams and the Patriots, the Eagles will not trade A.J. Brown at this time. According to multiple league sources, both teams remain interested, but no move is imminent. If a trade were to happen, it would likely heat up closer to June 1st. So that is the latest on A.J. Brown. It felt like things were building towards a trade to the Patriots or the Rams. There was a lot of stuff going on today with Dallas Goedert and his contract situation. Maybe the Eagles trying to clear Goedert or Brown off of the roster, and it felt like they were juggling back and forth. And really, to me, felt like with the reporting earlier on in the day that the Eagles were trying to milk a little bit more out of the Patriots or the Rams. And based on this reporting from Diana Rossini, it appears that they have not been able to do that with either team, with either suitor. Both teams, she says, remain interested. But that's where we're at. So no A.J. Brown, at least for now. I mean, the way I would read this, no A.J. Brown until after the draft. So how does that change the way you do things at the draft if you're the Patriots? How does that change your view on the Patriots offseason just in general? And we'll take your thoughts at 617-779-0985. But this does feel like a pretty significant development because the way I was looking at it, and I think the way a lot of Patriots fans were looking at this, entering tonight and as the week has gone along, is that A.J. Brown was the move that was going to put this offseason really over the hump. I mean, I think this has been a good offseason for the Patriots. I will say that up front. I think it's been a nice start to the offseason. But it's one of those things where had they added Brown to Romeo Doubs in replacing Stephon Diggs, all of a sudden your offense looks completely different. You can make the argument that the Doubs is an upgrade over Diggs. I'm not quite sure I want to go that far, but if you want to make that argument, I will absolutely listen to it. I think you are not wrong in making that case. It's certainly a wash. I mean, I don't think it's any worse or any better. That's kind of the way I'd look at it. The Patriots are really no worse or no better in that wide receiver room. But if you added A.J. Brown on top of that, now you're cooking with gas. It feels like they've improved their secondary with the addition of Byard, which might be my favorite move of the offseason so far. The Elijah Vera Tucker signing, I think, is really interesting. If he can just stay healthy, just stay on the field, that's a pretty significant upgrade for the Patriots on the offensive line. They are obviously still committed to the idea of Will Campbell at left tackle. So by helping him out at left guard, that's a way to maybe get a little bit more out of Will Campbell. So there have been a lot of good things that have happened so far for the Patriots this offseason, but it's one of those things, and I kind of almost compare it to the offseason the Red Sox had last year with Alex Bregman, before everything blew up in their face with the Bregman signing and pissing off Rafael Devers and ultimately trading him. But I think the way a lot of us all felt about that offseason was it was a good offseason until the final move, which really put it over the hump, which was the signing of Alex Bregman. And that's exactly how I would have felt about A.J. Brown. I mean, I think a lot of off seasons come down to the big move, the big fish, and that's ultimately how you judge them. And to me, this offseason for the Patriots, the way it has built and developed over the course of this week was coming down to A.J. Brown. So this is a bit of a blow. There's no doubt about it. Is it a disaster? No, it's not a disaster. They've had a good offseason so far, but the difference between being a good and a great offseason is adding somebody of A.J. Brown's ilk to that wide receiver room and really taking a step forward. You're not just treading water on the offensive side of the ball. And I think they've made some incremental improvements. I actually really like the fullback signing. I know that probably sounds crazy. I like the blocking tight end. Like I've got no problem that they're trying to get a little bit more physical on the offensive side of the ball. I think that's almost as, if not an equally effective way to help your quarterback is going out and getting a number one wide receiver. I still believe in that. I still believe in the running game. I'm not Mr. You need to have, the Justin Jeffersons of the world to make your offense cook. That's just not who I am. But given where they're at, undeniably, it would be a significant upgrade and would change the way that I feel about this offseason. So at least for now, A.J. Brown not coming to New England. Your thoughts at 617-779-0985. Again, Diana Rossini a few minutes ago saying that the Eagles will not trade A.J. Brown at this time. Both the Patriots and the Rams are made interested, but no move is imminent. I know there are some post-June 1st implications with the money, so it's not to say that things are dead here yet, but it does change the way the Patriots ultimately approach the draft. Are you trying to find a wide receiver at 31? Are you trying to find an edge, a pass rusher? It feels to me that's the area the Patriots really have not improved this offseason. Wide receiver and pass rusher are two areas where I think they've probably treaded water. So how does that change what you do at 31 overall? Are you more willing to part with a pick in 2027 compared to 2026? And obviously, if the Eagles are going to push this out closer to June 1st, they're okay with getting a first-round pick in 2027. So a lot of moving parts here with this, but ultimately, I just don't view this as certainly welcome news here for the Patriots. The way I was looking into this earlier today is I think you've got a situation where a bunch of sides are trying to wait each other out. The Eagles have been trying to drum up more of a market in Brown. According to Diana Rossini earlier today, they wanted a first-round pick next year and a second-round pick this year. They're obviously willing to wait on that second-round pick. They probably haven't gotten that offer yet because if this is being pushed out closer to June 1st, that's after the draft. So the Eagles are trying to drum up more interest. It hasn't quite been there. The Patriots know that interest hasn't quite been there, so they've been waiting the Eagles out. Meanwhile, the Rams, this is kind of a luxury to them. They love trading first-rounders. They love trading high draft picks for established veterans, but that's an offense with Nakua and Devontae Adams. So do they really need, in the end, a player like A.J. Brown? They might want him, but they need him, so they're not going to overpay. They're certainly not going to give up the 13th overall pick in this year's draft. Maybe they're willing to give up a first next year, maybe. But you have two sides who are interested in the Patriots and the Rams, but they're not going to outbid one another. The Eagles haven't gotten the interest that they want, and therefore they're willing to punt this a little further down the road. And that's the way it's all playing out. And I'm not going to criticize the Patriots for that, because why overpay if you don't have to overpay? But now, all of a sudden, it reframes how you feel about the NFL draft moving forward. What is your number one need if you're not trading the 31st overall pick for A.J. Brown? Is it still a wide receiver? Is it a pass rusher? Are you investing more on the offensive line because you don't believe in Will Campbell? That's where we go from here. And that's where we'll start tonight with the latest on A.J. Brown. 617-779-0985. Again, according to Diana Rossini, A.J. Brown will not be traded at this time. That's the show, right for now. It's whole rundown ripped up. That's what happens when you get breaking news at 6 o'clock. And that's where we'll start tonight. It's Matt McCarthy in for Joe Murray. Skaz is here. I see you on the phone lines. We'll take care of you. 617-779-0985.
You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5.
Okay. That price came down tomorrow. You don't think A.J. Brown's a Patriot? Because I do. Anyway, Vrabel mentioned this, by the way, as we were talking about A.J. Brown at the draft. Or, no, excuse me, at the combine. And he brought up, well, trades happen all the time. Now, the draft, the summer. And that, to me, said they've kind of had the long view in this. Again, it might not happen. I predict that it will because there's a long window here. Really right up until kickoff of week 1, which I think is September 13th this year. But this interests me. The talk will not go away. But for now, they've got a little bit better, again, of a plan B.
So, I think in general, it's just like they've added to their team. They've made their football team better. And I think a lot of people around the league feel exactly like we do that A.J. Brown is going to end up in Foxborough, whether it's next week or, 3 months from now. That's sort of the expectation.
Andrew Callahan and Mike Giardi a couple days ago on the A.J. Brown situation. And, it's kind of the way this thing has been building. It's right now one giant game of chicken between the Eagles, the Patriots, and the Rams. And nobody's blinking at this point. Diana Rossini with the latest reporting just a few minutes ago tonight that the Eagles will not trade A.J. Brown at this time. According to multiple league sources, both teams remain interested, talking about the Patriots and the Rams. But if a trade were to happen, it would likely heat up closer to June 1st. This has been discussed a little bit, too. There is the money side of this. So if the Eagles trade Brown before June 1st, it is a $43 million dead cap hit. After June 1st, that drops to $16 million. So I think the situation is the Eagles were hoping somebody would pay the full freight on Brown, meaning, blow them away with an offer. They had asked for a first-rounder next year and a second-rounder this year. So trying to get a first and a second for A.J. Brown, and at that point they'll say, yeah, sure, dead cap be damned. We'll find ways to work around that. We'll get full value for the player, and we're more than happy to do that. Given the Patriots and the Rams obviously have not gone there, they're happy to wait until June 1st. So I tend to agree with Giardi and Callahan. I mean, does this still happen? I think there's a very good chance this still happens, but it's not going to happen now. And they've made that very clear. And listen, obviously this is coming, from the Eagles. So they're not moving him until after June 1st. So now you need to wait it out. So how do you approach this draft? That's what the impact and the implications for the Patriots right now, how they're going to approach the draft as a result of this decision, because they're not going to get their number one receiver via trade before then. Do you go out and draft a receiver at 31, or do you look into the trenches or on the defensive side of the ball? That's probably where I'd go. I think this team needs a pass rusher. That's how I would approach the draft. Hope you can get Brown after that. And in the end, if you don't get a true number one receiver, well, that's why you have Drake May. That's how I would approach it. But how would you approach it? 617-779-0985. Obviously, significant news on the Patriots front dropping a few minutes ago. Matt in Boston to lead us off tonight. Hey, Matt.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey.
So I have a question, though. So, you could go out and try and get a receiver in the draft, but you could also go out in free agency and get someone like Tyreek Hill, or you could wait around for A.J. Brown or Chris Olave or something like that. So I don't know. Do you think the free agent market has anything left to offer?
Yeah, I'm probably out on Hill at this point. I would approach the draft. I would take a pass rusher, and I'd see if I can trade for A.J. Brown. And if not, then, well, it's on Drake May to elevate this offense. And if he's as special as a lot of you claim him to be, then he'll prove that, and with the likes of Romeo Doubs leading the way, which I, by the way, think is enough. I mean, I'm more concerned about the offensive line than who Drake May is throwing to. So, I mean, I'd rather double down and invest on the offensive line. I'd rather be able to get after the passer than spending a draft pick on a wide receiver, especially with their history. And I know, obviously, Belichick's not here anymore, but Elliott Wolf still is. And what can I say? I've got sports PTSD as a Patriots fan from all their draft picks at wide receiver over the years. Give me the guy who's been in the league and has proven he can play. And as a history with Mike Vrabel, I will take my chances on not getting him rather than taking my chances on drafting a wide receiver at 31. That would be my approach. How about Jesse in Tampa? Hey, Jesse.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for taking the call.
Yeah, no problem.
Honestly, I don't really like the idea of adding A.J. Brown just because May might become, too focused on, getting in the ball and making him happy. I saw he kind of melted down with Philly a lot. I just don't think that'd be good for him just because, maybe he'd ignore the receivers and try to focus on Brown even when he's not open. I'd like to get a tight end in the draft, like a really good pass-catching tight end that can block, and maybe add an all-purpose running back. I see Rashard White's a free agent. I mean, that guy was good for Tampa. You can throw it underneath him. It's very shifty. He'll get you the first down. But I'd like to have that big tight end target, kind of like Gronk, or when Brady had Gronk, and that'd be great. If you have a fast guy, a wide receiver, May will find him on the deep ball. But I think a big tight end would be great for me. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not as high on Hunter Henry as a lot of folks, but I too would love the idea of adding somebody like Gronk. Says the caller. Yes, somebody like Gronk. That would be great. That would be awesome. But no, I hear what you're saying. Am I spending a first-round pick on it at this point? No, because I think this team has other needs. But Hunter Henry did disappear in the playoffs. I mean, if you want to talk about if we're going to hold that against Stephon Diggs, why aren't we holding it against Hunter Henry? I guess that would be my reaction to that. So I'd put tight end somewhere on the list of needs, but not at the top. They need to be able to get after the quarterback and protect the passer. Those are still their two biggest needs to me at this point. And wide receiver is third on the list. How about, is it Itchy in Cranston? Is that right?
I'm right here.
Donut. I'm not even going to try the Itchy and Scratchy theme.
Can you hear me, guys?
I've got you, Itchy. How you doing? Where's Poochie?
So my main thing is what this guy just said. As a New England Patriots fan, you go after David Njoku.
Okay.
You go after him.
Go after him.
You have to. Why? Well, send it to him. Hooper's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter Henry's not going to be there for longer. Give him the contract.
Get the tight end, says theme in the history of television, and it's not even a real television show. Thank you for the call, Itchy. I appreciate that. You humored me tonight. Kenny G in Atlanta. Now, hold on. Wait a minute. We just got the Itchy and Scratchy theme for our caller, Itchy in Cranston. Skaz, I mean, you got to get on some Kenny G for our guy, Kenny G. How you been, Kenny?
Yeah, how you doing?
How you doing, Kenny?
Man, listen, you're the voice of reason. It's always a pleasure to speak with you, okay? All your flowers to you.
Thanks, man.
Hey, listen, this is what I always tell folks. I think talking sports is like life. If I'm Howie Rosen, you're right. Unless I'm doing full freight, I'm not trading A.J. Brown to June 1st. But guess what? He'll be a Patriot, so I'm good on that. Let me tell you how I attack the draft. I'm going edge, linebacker, and tight end in no particular order. So my point is this. A.J. Brown, this is what I think he gets a bad rap for. I don't know about you, but if I didn't like the guy who was throwing me the ball, I would want out too.
Two callers. You have no idea the joy that this has brought me. 617-779-0985. Actually, speaking of joy, somebody who I definitely agree with, and I know we're in the minority. Is this Emil or is it Emily in Fitchburg?
No, it's Emil.
Emil, what's going on, Emil?
What's going on, dude?
Hey,
I just thought I'd get, you know what? I'm doing all right. How you guys doing?
Damn.
Hey, the whole thing is with me, it's like, I'm sorry, but Drake May was a limited product coming out of North Carolina. The dude never took a snap under center. He has no clue what he's doing. You can tell when he gets back there that he's lost in the drop back. He can't feel backside pressure. He's got serious issues with himself. He can't release the ball. He holds it too long. He goes into a coma, and he thinks he could do more than he can. And it's not his weapons. It's him, and he needs to be coached up.
Emil, it's a little too strong for my liking, but you're not entirely wrong. I'm amazed at how much criticism Drake May has skirted over the last month and a half since the Super Bowl, since the playoffs, and it's easy to put it on the offensive line because the offensive line was not good. And I understand it's easy to blame the number one wide receiver who wasn't going to be back here because of the money and say, well, Stephon Diggs disappeared. In the end, Drake May wasn't good enough in the playoffs, and I'm a little surprised at actually how little criticism he's gotten for it. Obviously, there were issues. There were protection problems. He was hit way too many times, but you can't put the ball on the ground 7 times in 4 games. You can't do it. And I know the defenses he faced were very good. They were much better than the regular season, but I'm a little shaken by what I saw in the Super Bowl in particular. Doesn't mean I think the guy sucks, but I do think some criticism is worthy, and some of it is deserved, and it feels like it was everybody else's fault except for Drake May. I just don't feel that way about the quarterback position. It's the number one position in all of sports. It's the most important position in all of sports, which means you get the praise when you win and the criticism when you lose, and I just don't think May was ultimately good enough. So, but I keep hearing from people that he is, I mean, obviously you're not moving on from him, but he is special and he is the next big thing. So if you don't have, a true number one receiver, if you don't add A.J. Brown to the mix, Drake May should still be good enough based on the commentary about Drake May that I've heard for the last, certainly 2 years, but definitely going back, to, the middle of the season this year when he was on fire and a legitimate MVP candidate. If he is that caliber of quarterback, he will make do with Romeo Doubs as his number one wide receiver. Of course, I want to help him. We all want to help him. But if he's that good, if he's that special, he'll make do. He'll find a way to get it done with Romeo Doubs as his number one guy. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not trading for A.J. Brown after June 1st, because I am. But if you can't get it done, well, I don't want to hear in December that Drake May doesn't have enough weapons. He doesn't have the best weapons in the league. Of course he doesn't. But he's got an average unit across the board, and for a quarterback of his quality and caliber, that should be enough. My 2 cents on it. 617-779-0985. Andy in Tewksbury. Andy.
Hi, how's it going? I watched a lot of A.J. Brown at the end of the year, dropping balls, quitting on routes. He's everything they told us to not get Diggs for. Diggs disappeared in the playoffs. The last 2 games of the playoffs, nobody was catching balls. Nobody was doing anything. So you can't blame him for that. But he totally bought in. Brown, forget it. He's going to cost you way too much money, and he doesn't care. All he cares about is himself. The last thing I want is that guy in Foxborough. Holy crap.
I hear you on that, Andy. There are a lot of wide receivers in the NFL who only care about themselves. The vast majority of them. The elite ones, at least, only care about themselves. So the question is, do you want to bring in A.J. Brown, who is shooting his way out of Philadelphia, which is not a great sign because that's a team that is capable of winning a Super Bowl. They have won a Super Bowl, and yet he wants out of there. So, of course, red flag. But it's the Mike Vrabel relationship that makes you say they can manage it here. And, again, if you want to help out the quarterback, A.J. Brown would help. So I'm a yes for those reasons. Total yes for those reasons. How about James in New Hampshire? Hey, James.
Hey, yeah, I just had a comment about the A.J. Brown situation. Everyone's all saying the whole June 1st thing, and we'll get him after June 1st because of the cap hit. But what nobody else is seeing is Howie Roseman's a great GM. So when we get to June 1st, what's the guarantee that we're going to get A.J. Brown, or somebody else might offer a better offer than we would, in which case we turn into the Red Sox like everything else. We tried, we made an effort, but it didn't work out. Why not just give them 2 second-rounders right now? We can keep our first-rounders, and the 2 second-rounders are the best offer you're probably going to get until June 1st, instead of waiting till June 1st, and then now you're competing with half the NFL that all of a sudden has the draft compensation to go get them.
Yeah, because, and thanks for the call, James, because in the end, I don't know if the Eagles do that. You might say, all right, blow them away now. But your version of blow them away is 2 second-round picks. They're holding out for the first-round pick because they don't want to take that dead cap hit and they want to lessen that. It's better for the Eagles if they trade him after June 1st. So what they've been trying to do, just my read on it, is they're trying to drum up more activity in A.J. Brown, and they, if the price they set, according to Diana Rossini, was a first and a second. And that was the price that they determined that they were willing to take on the dead cap hit for. So had they found a bidder or found a suitor for Brown at that price, he would be gone. So you're right. The Patriots are running a risk here that, after June 1st, another team doesn't jump into the bidding. The question is, how serious are the Rams really in all of this? I don't think they're ultimately that serious because they already have a good wide receiver room. why would they want to spend a first-round pick on A.J. Brown? I mean, I know they've got a long and documented history of trading first-rounders for high-impact veteran players, so they make sense in that regard. And, they're trying to get, the last, bit out of Stafford in his career, so it makes sense from that regard. But they have Nakua, they have Adams, they've got a good offense. That first-rounder is better spent, in this case, on trading it for McDuffie, which is what they did. So my sense is the Rams probably aren't that serious a suitor. And the reason you're hearing about the Rams is that's the Eagles trying to drum up more interest from the Patriots. Now, Elliott Wolf said a couple of days ago here at the Combine, let's see, there was no drop-dead date for a potential deal, which is him reading the market and saying, well, it doesn't really make sense for the Eagles to do it now unless they get blown away. We're not going to blow them away. We've already added, a quality veteran receiver in Dobbs. So why are we going to go overpay at this point? So after June 1st, it is. And yes, maybe somebody else jumps into it. Maybe a wide receiver gets hurt in, mini camp or OTAs. A number one wide receiver somewhere, and somebody gets desperate, and they pay out the nose for A.J. Brown. Somebody gets arrested, and you need a number one wide receiver. There are a million reasons why a team between now and then might need a number one wide receiver. There's a contract situation. There's a holdout. So yes, the Patriots are running that risk. And if you want to say overpay for it now, give a second this year and a first next year for A.J. Brown so you're guaranteed to have it, I'll take that call. But I think the Patriots are making a calculated risk. And in the end, I support that because if Drake May is the quarterback that you make him out to be, he will elevate this offense as presently constructed. I'm much more concerned about their ability to protect him than their ability to catch the ball from him. That's where I'm at. Where are you at? 617-779-0985. We'll continue. It's Matt McCarthy in for Joe Murray. Quick update here on the headlines.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Well, no movement on A.J. Brown, at least for now. Diana Rossini reporting for The Athletic tonight that the Eagles will not trade A.J. Brown at this time. for A.J. Brown, so now the Patriots wait this one out. To you we go at 617-779-0985. Adam in Pawtucket. Hey, Adam.
Hey, how's it going, man? So I don't know, the Romeo Dobbs signing. I feel like the Pats just fiddle with like 2s and 3s and 4s with wide receivers all the time. I mean, they haven't had a true number one in so long. Like, I get it now with the AJ Brown thing until June, but like they have to go out and get a number one somehow. Like, I get it, Drake May, like he can make people look good, but they got to do something. I mean, I'll just hang up and listen. Thank you.
I mean, I just philosophically, I don't think they have to. And I'm not saying that I don't want it to happen because I'm a proponent of the A.J. Brown trade, but I think you can win in other ways. I mean, if Drake May is everything he's cracked up to be, he will elevate an average skill group of wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs. He will. Now, it doesn't matter how good or bad Drake May is if you can't protect him. I think football's won in the trenches. I'm all for investing more in the trenches than I am at wide receiver. So if the argument, against trading, if you want to make an argument against trading for A.J. Brown, it's use those draft picks on guys who can get after the passer and guys who can protect the passer. And I will definitely listen to that argument. But no, I mean, A.J. Brown would make this team better, significantly better, if you ask me. I mean, it does, there are a million different ways to help your quarterback, and that is one of them. So the deal's not happening now. We'll see if it will happen after June 1st. How about Ryan in the car? Hey, Ryan.
Hey, McCarthy. First off, I love listening to you, so I just want to I think you're very clear and direct with your takes, sir. But my question, I'm trying to get a gauge on where you're at with Drake May. So, if it was the year where we had to do a franchise contract for a quarterback, how comfortable are you with Drake May? I'm just trying to get a gauge on that.
Yeah.
And,
if I had to pay him now, Ryan, I mean, you pay him. It's obvious you pay him. That doesn't mean, I don't have some questions about it, but are you going to do any better than Drake May at this point? Like, what's the alternative to that? You're going back into the draft? No way. I mean, you have a guy who was finished second in the MVP voting. I'm going to look at that over the next 5 years and I'm going to take my crack at that. I'm not as convinced that he's everything a lot of Patriots fans make him out to be yet. I'm not quite there. But that doesn't mean that I'm not paying him next year. I'd pay him now if I could. Because, I mean, trust me when I say I want to see this out. I guess I would just, there have been a lot of young quarterbacks in the NFL who have had, who have burst onto the scene, have looked really good, and then they never quite turn into what you think they're going to turn into. I mean, I'm just cautious about that with May. That doesn't mean I'm not taking the chance. I'm taking a crack at it. I mean, of course I am. I mean, there's been more than enough to say, all right, I mean, the talent jumps off the screen. It's obvious. But at the same time, I also need to acknowledge that he was not good in the playoffs. He wasn't. I mean, 4 picks, 7 fumbles in 4 games. I mean, that's wretched. It's not good. So, I mean, we do need to acknowledge that. It doesn't mean I'm trading him, getting rid of him, saying he sucks, saying no. I'm not saying any of that. Not one bit. I'm just acknowledging everything I've seen. He was an MVP quality player in the regular season. He was significantly less than that in the playoffs. And, ultimately that is how we judge quarterbacks. So I'm not going to ignore it, is what I'm saying. I'm going to acknowledge what happened. I'm going to, use my eyes and not pretend I didn't see what I saw and what we all saw. And I do think there's some Patriots fans who have wanted to turn the other way on what they saw in the playoffs. We judge every single quarterback on planet Earth by playoff performance. Nobody around here would take Justin Herbert at this point, who I loved early on in his career. I loved him. And when they drafted Drake May, I said, if you get Justin Herbert, that's a win. I mean, oh my God, Herbert just needs to be around a better team and a better coach. Well, he's got a better coach now, and he is a puddle in the playoffs because that's just who Justin Herbert is. I mean, I don't know how you could watch that game here in Foxborough and not say he's not it. That was obvious and apparent. He's not cut out for the big moment. He's not cut out for playoff football. There are just some guys who are like that. I don't have that answer on Drake May yet. How could you have that answer on Drake May? It's 1 season. Now, it was 4 games. And he wasn't good in any of them. But listen, he was young. He had a bad offensive line. He took a million hits. I'm going to cut the kid some slack, but I'm not going to ignore it either. So, when I hear about wide receivers, I do say, yes, it's great to have him. Yes, it's a help to Drake May. But if he's everything a lot of people are making him out to be, he will elevate a group led by Romeo Dobbs. 617-779-0985. How about Louie in Amesbury? Louie, how you doing, man?
Hey, man, I'm doing okay on a Friday night. You know what? I haven't called and talked to those other two nitwits from 2 to 6 who I like to debate with, but we could have, as I said to you, producer, whatever, we could have 3 number ones. I don't get it. I think I watch a lot of football. I don't get it. Why aren't we concentrating on offensive linemen, period? Now, you just made a comment about Drake May, he wasn't super in the playoffs, right? Now, how about C.J. Stroud, who, by the way, I made a bunch of money on Houston because I just thought the Patriots defense was going to rip them up, and they did, because Houston's offensive line sucked, and our offensive line sucked. So I don't care. Drake May, I think he's going to be a stud. He's been great. We need some offensive line help.
I'm right there with you, Louie. It's still the number one need. Would I rather have, and we're talking about this in a vacuum, right? Would I rather have a number one wide receiver for Drake May or a left tackle who I was convinced will be a left tackle for the next 10 years in the NFL? 7 days a week, I'm taking the left tackle. So it doesn't matter if you can't protect the kid. He took an historic number of hits, and the number one concern I think we all have about Drake May is he just ultimately going to take too many hits, and is he going to get broken? Because he was broken by the end. I'll rip him for his Super Bowl performance, and I will rip him for that pick he threw in the fourth quarter, which was as bad as it gets, especially in that spot. I will rip any quarterback who throws. That was Sam Darnold-esque, and I'm not talking about Sam Darnold in the Super Bowl, who, by the way, was not good. I'm talking about Jets-era Sam Darnold bad. But part of that has to do with the number of hits that the kid took, and, he was broken by the end of it. Skaz?
Yeah, it almost, and you mentioned it, briefly earlier, it is a little astounding how that was one of the worst interceptions of all time, given the stakes and everything in that game and, field position and all that. Like, it was not even close. Just an awful throw, and it, does kind of get discounted a little bit. And
they were down 2 scores at midfield, and you chuck it up like that with 9 minutes to go? I know they didn't look like they were capable of winning that game. They probably wouldn't have won that game, but you can't give the ball up like that.
No, certainly not. And yeah, I guess A.J. Brown does help you in that situation, but I also I'm of the belief that this team you're not in the A.J. Brown territory yet. I don't think, anyways. I know you were in the Super Bowl last year, but it didn't feel like you were, we just talked about it, that close to winning the game. And, Drake May certainly was a shell of himself at the end of the season. And I just think you're not in a position to be giving up a second and fourth or whatever it is to A.J. Brown just yet. They've done okay in the draft with this new regime, and I think a second and fourth is more valuable long-term than A.J. Brown is to this team.
So you're out on it completely at this point, based on the way this thing's trending.
Yeah, if you just look at A.J. Brown, the player, he's great. He's very good. He's physical. He blocks. He's a downfield threat, but he's on arguably the best roster in the NFL. He's on arguably the best offensive roster in the NFL with an incredible offensive line. Say what you want about Jalen Hurts, but you can't argue that he's a winning quarterback. All the guy's done since he stepped foot into the league is win football games. He did it in college. He's a winner. It may not be pretty, but all the Eagles do is win games and get into the playoffs. And A.J. Brown says, I'm good. I don't really want to do that. So, I don't know. Isn't that kind of a red flag? I feel like it's not really discussed. Everyone's just yeah, let's go get A.J. Brown. But he's reading books on the sidelines when his team's in a playoff hunt and critical games in the fourth quarter. How do you think that's going to go here?
Well, Skaz, you're totally right. It's a red flag but it's the Vrabel factor. You consider that Vrabel and A.J. Brown are tight, so he's going to get the most out of him. I mean, that's the argument for it. That's why I'm willing to ignore those things and go ahead and make the deal. But I think you're on to something. Like, how much is too much for a team that, to your point, probably isn't, and let's be honest, they're not a Super Bowl winning roster at this point. So how far away from that are they? I would argue they're, even though they were in the game, they are a number of steps away from that. Am I giving up a first and a second for A.J. Brown? No, that's too much, because that's too much at this point. Now, if they were one piece away, I'm giving up a first and a second. So if the price is less than that after June 1st, I'm making the deal. I am, because you have to weigh how much helping and undeniably getting a number one receiver would help Drake May. So what is the value of that? What is that cost worth for you? It's worth something for me. It's not worth everything for me, because it's still not the most important way you can help Drake May. The most important way you can help him is investing in that offensive line. But somewhere on that list is getting a number one wide receiver, and I'm willing to pay a certain cost for it. Not at first and a second. If we're talking a second and a fourth, I probably make that happen. I do. But a first and a second, I'm out on that. And trust me, the Patriots are out on that, because if it were a first and a second, we would not be getting the reporting tonight that A.J. Brown is not getting traded, at least for now. That would not be happening. 617-779-0985. I see on the phone lines. We'll take care of you. More on this coming up next, plus also some reporting on the Patriots' finances and the financial situation this offseason. We'll get to all of it. We lead up to Brian Robb at 7:20 tonight, Alex Barth at 8 o'clock. It's Matt McCarthy in for Joe Murray here on the Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the way on 98.5.
FM at HD Boston. 98.5 The Sports Hub, a Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
News on the A.J. Brown front tonight as Diana Rossini of The Athletic reports that the Eagles do not plan on trading Brown at this time. According to multiple league sources, she says the Patriots and the Rams both remain interested, but at this time, no move is imminent. If a trade were to happen, it would likely heat up closer to June 1st. Elsewhere around the NFL, Falcons say Tua Tagovailoa will compete with Michael Penix Jr. for their starting quarterback job. Tonight in the World Baseball Classic, Team USA and Canada meet in the quarterfinals. First pitch about an hour from now. Red Sox beat the Rays 7-6 in spring training play earlier on today. Johan Oviedo gave up 2 runs over 3 1/3. Second round action at the Players today. Ludwig Oberg taking a 2-shot lead on Xander Schauffele at 12 under par. He is in the clubhouse at this point. Most players in the clubhouse as well, with the cut now set projected at +2. At the Players this afternoon, Bruins visit Washington tomorrow after falling to the Sharks 4-2 last night, and the Celtics host the Wizards tomorrow night, who have proven very interested in playing NBA quality basketball. That comes after an outstanding game last night. Celtics lost to Oklahoma City 104-102. Headlines are brought to you by DN Van Lines. Take the chance out of your move and make the sure bet with DN Van Lines, an approved mover of the Department of Defense. DNVanLines.com. I'm Matt McCarthy on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update in 30 minutes.
This is what happens when analysts take over the game, take over the sport.
This is where you talk sports.
It happens all the time.
The Sports Hub.
What's the deal with this, guys? Every time I listen to the show, we've got Street Team Joe, which is great. You guys have an intern. I mean, this is... where is everybody tonight?
Street Team Joe was here late last night doing the Celtics game, and our intern Dawson is at the Big East tournament covering it for Dean. So, everyone's busy, everyone's working.
Joe's busy? I thought they were out partying with Joe tonight.
If only. That would be a party for sure.
I mean, we're done at 10 o'clock, man. We could meet up with Joe.
There you go.
I mean, it's not far.
Man
far
about town.
I mean, he's definitely closing it out at the Kowloon tonight, isn't he? He has to.
Yeah, you would almost feel wrong if he didn't. I think he almost has to. Man has a reputation to uphold.
It'd be 10 o'clock. It'd be early for us.
Yes.
Let's take a ride up to Kowloon. Why not? We'll find him there. He's there. We'll get to your thoughts at 617-779-0985. Jay in the car. Hi, Jay.
Hey, how you guys doing?
What's up, man?
Not much, man. So I know everyone's into A.J. Brown lore. I'm kind of over it. $32 million for the next 3 years. I'd rather just go out and get Deebo Samuel and Tyreek Hill on a fire, and then use those draft picks to shore up that offensive line. So,
all right, I hear what you're saying on that. Why is Tyreek Hill still out there? Why is he still available? Not the same player he once was, coming off the injury. I also don't know. I mean, by the way, how many Patriots fans have over the years rightfully called out, by the way, what a bad dude Tyreek Hill is? Do you think we would get many of those calls?
I would certainly be one of them. I am a hard out on Tyreek Hill. I don't think you need to bring that into your football team. That's a bad guy.
There's a difference between a malcontent and a bad guy. Like, I don't think A.J. Brown's a bad guy. Now, he might not be a great teammate. But there's a difference. He's reading books on the sidelines. He wants out of Philly really, should you want out of Philly? I mean, there are red flags there, but there's a difference between red flags from a football perspective and red flags from a non-football perspective. Not to mention, too, what was Tyreek Hill's injury this year? I mean, it was a bad one, right? It was
His
a leg
knee
injury?
exploded, yeah. It was everything. ACL, MCL, I think. It was like the PCL. I think it was the trifecta there.
Yeah. For a guy
speedster.
Relies on
little
that.
Guy.
A step slower. Cerrone said it yesterday, and it's true. Once you lose that step, that's it. There's nothing to separate you between you and everybody else in the NFL. The NFL is you have the step or you don't have the step league. And yeah, I'm not there with Tyreek Hill. And I'm sorry, when was the last time Deebo did much of anything at this point?
All very, very out on Deebo as well. He's I would call him a shell of himself almost at this point. He just doesn't look the same out there either. Like, he looks slow. It looks mechanical. Like, it looks hard for him to play football.
So I would say also, too, though, I mean, you could make this argument with A.J. Brown. Here was a back-to-back 1,500-yard per year receiver. Now he's dropped down into more the 1,000 range. And don't get me wrong, I mean, the Patriots need a 1,000-yard receiver, but, things have not trended in the right way for him over the last few years. So you can make the football argument against him. And I mean, you're more than happy to make the football argument against it, Skaz. I think there's a difference between, at this point, A.J. Brown and the likes of Tyreek Hill and Deebo Samuel. I just do.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue that at all. I think A.J. Brown is certainly, in a class above those guys. I also think he's still, we do the number one wide receiver talk. I still think he's in a class below, Jefferson and Chase and Nakua and those guys. Like, I think he's a legit number one, but I don't think he's, that tier one of the number one wide receivers.
Do you think they need it? Like, you don't want to pay it for A.J. Brown. Is that because you don't buy in on the number one receiver philosophy, or you do, but you just don't think he's that guy and worth that price?
I mean, yeah, I think you need good players to win football games, but I don't think A.J. Brown is the difference between a Super Bowl and not. Like, if you look at the Eagles roster, it's not because of A.J. Brown they won the Super Bowl. It was their offensive line and the defense. Like, I still think that that's a better way for the Patriots to build the team than to build it from the outside. Like, you saw what happened up the middle to this team in the playoffs. You saw how Drake May and, Travion Henderson and those guys looked late in the season because of the beatings they had taken, and Will Campbell especially. So I still think, I'd rather build it, straight up the middle than worry about the outside at this point.
No, and I'm with you on that. I mean, I'm not giving up a first-round pick at this point for A.J. Brown. Am I doing it for a second? Yes, because that, again, if we're putting what type of value I place on a second-round pick in comparison to getting a number one wide receiver for Drake May, I'll say a second-round pick is worth it. I don't know if a first-round pick is worth it, because that's, to me, where you get the players in the trenches. That's where you get the offense, truly the impact offensive lineman in the first round. You can find a whole bunch of guys, in the middle rounds who can piece it together. You want to go out and draft this year's version of Jared Wilson, go nuts. But I think you need more than this year's version of Jared Wilson. Where do you get guys who can really get after the passer? If you want to, get the Draymond Jones of the world, fine. You can go out and get that. If you want to retain Cleveon Chason, yeah, you can make that happen. But if we're talking about true impact game wrecker pass rusher, you pay for it. You pay Milton Williams through the nose, or you spend a first round pick on it. I'd much rather do that than trading a first round pick for a veteran receiver. A second round pick, though, I'm willing to make that happen. I just am. 617-779-0985. In regards to bad dudes, have you seen any reporting today on Christian Barmore?
No, I have not. This may have slipped my radar.
I haven't either, which I find interesting because I believe today was the deadline for 4:00 today would have been the deadline for his money being guaranteed entering this year. And the Barmore situation to me is fascinating because based on some of the history, he might be the type of guy you want to move on from a year too early rather than a year too late. That being said, the Patriots still need help in the trenches. And I think, this to me is the most fascinating decision of the offseason. And I haven't seen anything on it today. So I would imagine he's here. I mean, I think you would have heard if he was released at this point, or they moved on from him. I mean, I think they probably kicked the tires on it. They dangled him in trades. There was the reporting. I'm trying to remember if it was from Giardi or Callahan. I apologize to both of them, but there was reporting that there really wasn't that much interest around the league. So that put the Patriots in a tough spot. Do you guarantee the money or do you move on without really getting all that much? Maybe trying to avoid another situation that may or may not happen. But I think the Patriots were rightfully a little shook by whatever may or may not have happened. Obviously, he was in court this week, and we go back to the statements that were made in December. They certainly stood by Stephon Diggs much more than they stood by Christian Barmore. But Diggs is gone and Barmore's here, probably because it might have been easier to replace Diggs with a guy like Dobbs than going out and finding a replacement for Christian Barmore. So, and that's ultimately where we're at. So I'll be curious to see if we get a little bit more reporting on that in the coming hours and days. I would assume he's still here, but I did find this interesting from Greg Bedard a little bit earlier today. He said, no official numbers yet on Dobbs, Byard, and Hill, but estimating first-year cash for them, Patriots have about $800,000 left on the initial $60 million cash budget I estimated for them this offseason. To go further, I think they're going to have to offset. He says Barmore or Awenu, and or RKK will have to reach into his pocket. So, is the offseason done? Because the Patriots have hit, if Bedard's right, they had about a $60 million cash budget for this offseason. Is their offseason done, or will they look to move on from a Mike Awenu? Will they look to move on from Christian Barmore? So, was a little surprised we didn't get some type of confirmation today on Barmore. I mean, I do believe today, third day of the league year, I think was the day that the money was owed. Is that what you're seeing, Skaz?
I looked it up. It did say Barmore's on their roster as of 4 p.m. today. His $12 million salary is guaranteed for 2026. So I guess there's a small chance it could come out that he was released earlier today, but as of 7/13, we have not seen anything.
Yeah, that's just an interesting case. In a million different ways, from the money element of it. I mean, Diggs was a good player for them, but they moved on for the money. I mean, I don't think they moved on because of the incident that may or may not have happened at his house in Dedham. They made it very clear that they stood by him, and he's gone now. So I don't think it has anything to do with that, because if it had anything to do with that, then Barmore would be gone too, because they made it clear by not saying that they stood by Barmore that they didn't stand by that as much as they stood by Diggs. So this is an interesting one. I assume he's here, and that means his money is guaranteed, and that adds towards essentially the cash money that they have going out this year. So,
do you think there's a chance Diggs is back?
I wouldn't rule it out at this point. I mean, Elliot Wolf didn't rule it out the other day. And by the way, how would you feel about that if Diggs were back?
I'd like to know what the deal is, but if it's like a 1-year deal with a team option, I'm fine with that. I think him and Dobbs are a little repetitive, but I think Dobbs at this point in his career, and you're hoping he's the better player than Diggs, and Diggs is kind of that, I don't want to say the third down guy, because you'd like to see Dobbs be that guy too, but we saw how sure Diggs' hands are. Like some of the catches he made, in the Texans game and throughout the playoffs, like you throw it near him, he is going to go get it and over the middle of the field. So I think he fits with the McDaniels offense. Hopefully he's, still healthy. Now he has a full year in the system under his belt. Like Stephon Diggs is a mercenary when it comes to professional athletes. Some guys are just like that, and that's not a slight on Diggs. Like, you make your money, you have a career, but he wears out his welcome in Minnesota, Buffalo, the Texans. Here maybe. So yeah, I think a 1-year deal, you could sell me on it, but what's the money look like? I think maybe the market for Diggs isn't what he thought it was going to be, and maybe the Patriots can be the beneficiary of that.
Listen, I'd be totally on board with it, because I think he was. I think there's been some revisionist history as to how good Stephon Diggs really was here, and I know he disappeared in the playoffs, but I don't put that as much on him. It's really easy to blame the wide receiver who we all knew they were probably going to cut. It's a lot harder to blame the franchise quarterback, who everybody feels really good about, and as I talked about earlier, and a lot of people have a really hard time criticizing and have turned a blind eye on really how bad he was in the playoffs. So, I think Diggs was nails for them this year. Is he a true number one in the sense that, he's going to, beat guys one-on-one in the playoffs, and, it's, maybe the matchups get a little bit more difficult for him? Yeah, that's a factor for sure, but the more good receivers you have, the better. And again, does that help Drake May? The answer is yes. So I would be on board with a return. Not a long-term commitment. I'm with you on that, Skaz. But if there's a short-term commitment that could be made to Diggs, and Brown's a better fit with Dobbs. Diggs and Dobbs might be a little bit repetitive, but the more good players you have, the better. They need good players. They need more good players. So I'm on board with that. I see you on the line. We'll take care of you. I promise. 617-779-0985. Brian Robb. Up next, we're going to break down the Celtics from last night. Everything that's gone on in the NBA this week. We'll do that next. It's Matt McCarthy in for Joe Murray.
You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5.
at 8 o'clock tonight, so we'll certainly dive back into that. But we have ignored the Celtics so far tonight, which was not my intention, because that was a great basketball game last night, and really a couple of interesting games for the Celtics in San Antonio and Oklahoma City, and nobody better to talk about it with than our guy, Brian Robb, Mass Live, 98.5 The Sports Hub Celtics show on Saturdays. Did I miss anything there, B-Rob? I mean, the man, the myth, the legend himself?
No, you got it, man.
How you
been?
been?
Always fun to be on with you, man.
How you been? Good?
Good, yeah. Not happy to be at OKC. They need to be nice to get a direct flight from there, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Back to Boston.
Can't see a reason why there would be, except for really one time a year. Hell of a game last night. I mean, seriously, was that one of the better games of the year?
Yeah, that was. I mean, it's always a pretty great atmosphere in that arena out in OKC. But once they rolled Tatum out and Derek White out, you're like, okay, it's kind of too bad. This is going to be one of those chances where everyone's taking it serious, taking it like a playoff game. But the Boston's depth just like stood up to the challenge, and you could tell Joe Mazzulla really wanted that game. He played Jaylen Brown the entire second half. You can tell the Thunder really wanted that game. SGA played 39 minutes, and it was just well-played basketball by both sides. And obviously a few bounces went the Thunder's way down the stretch there, but on the whole, that was certainly in that locker room after that game, it was a feeling of a moral victory, if nothing else, because talent-wise, the Celtics were playing at a pretty steep disadvantage there on paper, but they were able to go toe-to-toe with them for 48 minutes.
Well, it's interesting that you said that, B-Rob, because I was going to ask you. I mean, it really feels like these last, 2 nights. I mean, not that any of us are in the moral, business victory, and the Celtics won a championship a year and a half ago. So, I mean, it's not like they're the little engine that could or anything like that. But, given who was playing, who was not playing, given, and, as Grandy has called it, the gap year Celtics, Tatum coming off the injury. I mean, I think these last 2 games were eye-opening to me. Am I wrong in feeling that way? That, I mean, to be totally honest, I've never felt like the Celtics were going to come out of the East just because it was always going to be too much to ask. I don't know. After watching these last 2 games against the Iron of the League, which is the 2 best teams in the Western Conference, I mean, why not? Am I crazy in thinking that?
Not at all. The Celtics are, despite not being fully whole for 60 games of the year, they are the most playoff-proven team in the Eastern Conference. Just looking at a track record of who are the contenders in the mix are out there between, the Pistons, Knicks, and the Cavs at this point. And yeah, I was with you. Like, I was looking at this week. This road trip was always the one to circle on the calendar this year on the schedule, because Cleveland, you had Harden, the new look team, like they've been playing very well. And then you had the Spurs at pretty much a full go. And the Thunder were missing a couple guys in Jalen Williams and Hartenstein, but they were well rested and clearly wanted that game too. And I know you went 1-2 here, but you didn't have Jaylen Brown for half of the Spurs game when he was playing some of his best ball of the season. We don't need to really re-ask that, but they hung in that game regardless. And then this was even the more impressive effort where, in my mind, McCarthy, it's like, what are you going to get out of guys like Ugo Gonzalez and Baylor Shireman and, even like a guy like Jordan Walsh when push comes to shove against elite opponents, and they kind of passed the test in this game. They look like they belong on the court out there and were like the better bench unit in that whole game. So the fact that they're continuing this progress all season long against opponents like this has to make you feel really good if you're Joe Mazzulla when you potentially roll in the playoffs here, and you've got Tatum back, probably closer to himself. Derek White obviously will be back in the lineup. That's just going to be a short-term thing for him. And then you have a long list of wings that can impact the game for a few minutes here and there to pick and choose from, no matter who you're based on the matchup that comes along in the playoffs.
So are you surprised that we're talking as much about the Celtics' depth in a positive way as we are? I mean, B-Rob, go back to where they were in September and October, and I mean, I didn't think they had any depth. I mean, that was obviously one of the. I mean, who could have thought that?
You weren't alone.
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, it's not exactly a groundbreaking basketball take for me, baseball Matt McCarthy over here, to look at the Celtics and say I don't know where the depth is, but you're right. I mean, how much stock do we have to put into the way that the Celtics bench unit and depth pieces have performed all year long? And now even with Tatum back and the team starting to, I guess go back to a little bit more of normal per se, for them to still be getting the contributions that they got even last night from the guys that you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, before the season started, I was like, oh, could one of these guys hit?
Yeah.
And that would be considered a win. It's like, okay, if someone breaks out of Ugo and Shireman and Walsh, then you'll take that. That's good news because you only really need one of those guys hit. And this season, I mean, everyone's they've had their ups and downs, but on the whole, like, all those guys have exceeded expectations by a lot, to the point now where, Shireman's playing like 33 minutes a night in these last two games against the two best teams in the league, and Gonzalez is guarding SGA in crunch time. And even a guy like Ron Harper Jr., a two-way guy, who is kind of come out of nowhere in the last month and is giving them solid minutes ever since they traded away Josh Minot. So it's kind of just like, it's not an embarrassment, Richard, because we'll see how much these guys actually play in the playoffs, but this is something in past years Joe Mazzulla really hasn't had or been willing to go to options outside of the usual rotation, to his detriment in last year's playoffs when Porzingis was sick and was giving him nothing, but he kept going to him. And now this year, you can try out these guys. You can figure out, okay, who has them on a certain night, and then you don't have to run Tatum and Jaylen Brown into the ground necessarily, at least in the early rounds, because these guys can hold their own for 5-10 minutes against good teams around the league. So it's exciting for now, and it's also exciting for the future of your Celtics fans, because these guys are young, they're under team control on the cheap for the next 2 years, sometimes more from a guy like Gonzalez, and that is very promising news because there's a lot of upside there, particularly on the defensive end, and that is going to make this team turn into an even scarier contender, I feel like, down the line.
So, B-Rob, how real is their performance, though? I mean, I'm as shocked as anybody, and I mean, I guess you look at last night and you look at the way they've played. I mean, it has to be real to a certain extent, but is there any concern that these guys get exposed in the playoffs? Like, how do you feel about it? How real is it?
Yeah, I mean, there's always the bright lights factor of what the playoffs are. We haven't seen these guys in there, but they're not going to be asked to do too much. Their roles, it's like, if your role is to crash on offensive rebounding from the corners, take an open free here or there, and then try really hard on defense, like those are controllables, and that's stuff that should be able to translate fairly well, as opposed to like asking them to carry a heavy offensive load, because that's when, okay, teams the scouting report on you, they can kind of take stuff away. That's when you could get exposed a little bit. But the skill sets they have makes me think that, again, you don't need all of them to hit, but as long as one or two of them can give you something in these games, that's all you're going to really need, because Joe Mazzulla is probably just going to be going 8-9 players deep. So they've all showed the ability to play alongside Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard, Derek White pretty well all year in all sorts of different lineups. And so that is, I mean, this team is ultimately going to go as far as, Tatum, Brown and company takes them, but it's just like a little extra, tool in Joe Mazzulla's belt this year for those moments. And it'll be interesting. I'll be very interested to see who among them kind of rises to the challenge, or who among them that Joe Mazzulla trusts the most. And my guess is it's going to be Shireman and Ugo, just based on how minutes have gone in recent weeks.
Let me ask you about a potential second guess from last night at the end of that game. You mentioned Shireman. So SGA beat Shireman ultimately for, one of the final, basically their final basket from the field. Joe had pulled Brown out of the game because he had 5 fouls with 30 seconds left. How do you feel about that decision from Mazzulla, and ultimately it's Shireman who gets beat for the final shot from the field by SGA?
Yeah, it's I think the fair second guess. It's honestly in that game, like SGA, I'm honestly a little surprised they didn't throw more doubles at him like earlier in that game, because the rest of the Thunder lineup was not hitting threes consistently, whether it was Caruso, Lou Dort, etc. And that is going to be ultimately the formula to beat this team in the playoffs. It's like, okay, make these guys, because none of those guys are really knockdown proven shooters. Like they had, I think, above average shooting years last year and they won it all, but they've all kind of come down to earth. So, yeah, leaving Shireman, leaving Gonzalez on the island in those spots. They changed out obviously on the last play of the game where they sent the double. But yeah, I think that's a fair second guess. But at the same time, they obviously Jalen made the big shot when he got back into the game. So you can kind of go both ways there. But it's, to me, in my mind, Jaylen Brown they almost leaned on him, I think, a little too much at the end of that game.
Yeah.
41 minutes. He got to the free throw line, but outside of the shot in the last minute, had some tough shots in that one. So I don't know. I was almost surprised they didn't give the bench guys more run earlier in the half, so that way Brown might have had a little bit more in the tank as that fourth quarter went along, and obviously for the defensive moment like you talked about.
And maybe, one more second guess, although I don't know. I think this one is a little bit more defensible from Missoula's standpoint, but Chet Holmgren gets the rebound to win the game ultimately for the Thunder. He's got Hauser on him because the Celtics don't have any bigs on the floor. Now, The Celtics needed to score, so that's a bit of a tougher spot. How do you look at that decision there for Missoula to not have a big on the floor in that spot?
Yeah, you roll the dice in that situation. He knew that was always going to be the downside of all right, you want to go stretch the floor and on the other end for Jalen, then you're going to have to deal with the repercussions. Now that's putting Sam Hauser in a pretty brutal spot. That's
right.
And so I think they started Shireman on Holmgren in that possession, and then then he had to run out to try to contest the Caruso three. So Shireman's a good rebounder, so that was a matchup where he could have helped more there against Chet, where Hauser is, he fought, but Holmgren's, got 6 inches on him. So there's not a lot you can do in that. But those are the kind of the situations where the fact that Vooch is hurt, he probably would have been in that game as a stretch five, I think, offensively before that possession. And so that might have helped you out a little more in that situation. But I don't hate the fact they just try to stretch him out there. I think that's a situation where if you're going to double team anyway, you're better off having a bunch of guys who can scramble, then you hope the ball doesn't carry them to the wrong spot, but it did in that situation.
Brian Robb from Mass Live joining us. What have you made of Jason Tatum, how he's looked since his return?
I think, from a physical standpoint, it's as good as you can hope for. Barring outside of him getting rejected by the rim in the first half of game one there. But the fact that he was even willing to go for a play like that, Matt, I feel like it's a really good sign. Because that's the sort of stuff that you have to have confidence in yourself to be able to do, to even attempt. And the fact he was able to think he could get there right off the bat. And then you look at just what his workload has been. He's pretty much, his rebounding numbers have been there. He's not turning the ball over. The shooting rust is expected, I guess, at this point, especially from the 3-point range. So to me, that's really not a concern. That's this is what the regular season's going to be for the next few weeks. You're going to figure that stuff out for yourself, get your rhythm back. But everything else, I think, has been pretty seamless. If anything, he's almost been, maybe even too aggressive at points because he's stuck with the 27 minutes limit. But the way this team has played, that's not really an issue. They're pretty secure and they're standing right now in the Eastern Conference. And I think the priority going forward now has to be, all right, let's get Tatum feeling good about himself by the time late April and May rolls around. And the first 3 games are a pretty positive step in that direction. And now you're going to work in some nights off. It's too bad he didn't play that Thunder game, but you totally get it. He just played 3 games. You do 27 minutes higher than anyone would have expected right out of the gate there. So you're not going to just play it like it's a regular season out of the gate, even though it would have been fun to see how he would have matched up with this team.
Well, you've got the Wizards coming into town on Saturday night, so he can put up at least 85, I would think.
Yeah, right, exactly.
27 minutes. What do you B-Rob, before I let you go, I got to ask you about that. Was it fraudulent? What'd you make of the way that everything went down? It was it's a saga. I'll put it that way.
It is. All these records are fraudulent to some degree. So I would say Bam is probably, if you made me guess like 75 people who would put up 83 points. He would not be on my list at all before the night happened. So that's kind of crazy from that standpoint. But yeah, like if you go back and you look at like what Kobe did against how he put up his 81, it's like he did it against a terrible Raptors team at the end of the season, and the game was over for the last 6 minutes, and he went to the free throw line like 6 times, and then the final like minute and a half. So I totally get people like railing on it, but it's also like you can kind of take that case against anyone. So I don't know. It's gonna be the highlight of the Heat season, I guess. So they had to go for something, and now that's what they're resorting to is getting 83 points against a G League Wizard squad. That's good for Eric Spoelstra, good for Bam, I guess.
Yeah, no, good for Heat culture for sure. No apologies for anybody. B-Rob, as always, great to have you on. Much appreciated. You're on tomorrow, I assume, with Gasper and Murray for the Sports Hub Celtics.
Yeah, Gasper Murray extravaganza tomorrow. I think full force, full attendance, so they'll be full for that, 11 to 2.
All right. Well, I'll be listening for sure. B-Rob, always good stuff. Check him out on Twitter. Read him in Mass Live. He's the best. Appreciate it, B-Rob.
All right, thanks, bud.
All right, sounds good. B-Rob is all of our guests joining us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. 617-779-0985. Alex Barth coming our way at 8 o'clock for the latest on A.J. Brown. But, of course, it's the Joe Show. We got to go in or out next. We'll continue. It's Matt McCarthy in for Joe.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Diana Rossini reports the Eagles will not trade A.J. Brown at this time. They could look to do so closer to June 1st, and that the Patriots and the Rams remain interested. But no move is imminent. Celtics host the Wizards tomorrow night, coming off last night's loss in Oklahoma City. Bruins visit Washington tomorrow after falling to the Sharks 4-2 last night. Falcons say Tua Tagovailoa will compete with Michael Penix Jr. for their starting quarterback.
quick, smelly.
It's Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
Are you in or out? Gotta know without a doubt. I'm the one you need for a dirty deed. I'm the best. Success is guaranteed.
On something. I don't need to explain this to you. You got it figured out. Do I need to explain it to the people, Skazed? I don't think I do.
No, I don't think so. I think this is a very, very simple one for the people. Even I can grasp this concept.
It's the beauty of the Joe Show is there's very little to understand. We really get down to the things that make us human beings. A lot of poop talk. We all understand that, right?
We're big on, the human body, the human anatomy, what goes in, what comes out. Frequent staples at night here.
It's an in and then an out.
Yes. Almost every segment we do has some sort of in or out involved, I would say.
In. I would be in on an A.J. Brown trade. Skaz would be out on an A.J. Brown trade.
See the cost, A lot of money. A lot of picks.
I'm in on the World Baseball Classic. I'm enjoying this. This Team DR is ridiculous. They are loaded. We've got bases loaded and Tatis up. Watch out, Korea. It's 5-0. 5-0 DR. Team USA comes your way at 8 o'clock. I'll just say this real quick before we get to the in or out. If the United States loses to Canada in baseball, that is a far bigger upset and bigger loss than Canada losing to us in hockey. Now, the stakes are different because it's the gold medal in hockey versus, the World Baseball Classic. So I'm not saying the stakes are the same. The stakes for the gold medal game are way higher. But if we're talking about upset and shame, the United States should be legitimately ashamed if they lose to Canada at baseball. We're the second best team in the world at hockey, so it's not like that. Jack Eichel's our number one center. Who's leading off for Team Canada tonight? Is it Nate Eaton or something like that?
Let's see. The Canadian lineup, someone named Lopez, shortstop, is leading off. Tyler O'Neill batting cleanup. Pipes O'Neill, former Red Sox.
Abraham Toro
He's
in
Canadian.
The
lineup. Bo Naylor.
This is a
murderer's row.
This is
the 27 Yankees.
I was about to say, real 27 Yankees. Who is a better lineup, Team Canada or the 2026 Boston Red Sox? I digress. In or out?
Yes, Matt McCarthy. Well, why don't we throw this one in quickly while we're on the topic of the World Baseball Classic. You mentioned Team USA there. Mark DeRosa as a manager, Matt McCarthy. Are you in or out on this man being the manager of your baseball team?
My country.
Yes.
Mark DeRosa represents us to the world.
That's some bad representation right there.
Real bad. Real bad. We're going through a bad stretch of that right now. No, it's not good. Not good. Out on Mark DeRosa. I was with Alex Barth, who's joining us at 8 o'clock tonight, and he said, there have been many times where managers, you would say, have a lack of feel for the game. But rarely do you come across a manager or a coach who lacks literally an entire concept or understanding of the actual competition in which the game is being played. That's generally rudimentary. It's very basic. How does this work? If we win, what happens? If we lose, what happens? The fact that he could not understand that and is, by the way, now still denying it is remarkable to me. The level of accountability, that is, wow. Thank you, Mark DeRosa. Has anybody told Mark DeRosa that they need to win this game tonight?
I don't know. That's the problem. Maybe his buddy Wainwright can help him out there. Pat him on the back, tell him it's going to be all right.
Embarrassing stuff. Out on Mark DeRosa. How could you be in? Is anybody in outside of his buddies? Goldie, Paul Goldschmidt, Adam Wainwright, definitely in. Everybody else, strong out.
All right, McCarthy, let's get to the important stuff now. In or outs. This from Fox. Fox has given a 2-season order to Stewie, a spinoff of global juggernaut Family Guy centered on the Griffin's evil genius toddler son, Stewie. Matt McCarthy, are we in or out on a Family Guy Stewie spinoff series?
I'm out on this for about 17 different reasons. Number one, and you brought this up earlier, Skaz, wouldn't the time and place have been about 10 years ago for this?
It feels like Stewie was at his peak, 10, 15 years ago. Like when I was in high school, maybe, or even before that, possibly.
See, Family Guy's best version of comedy is just the quick hitter stuff, right? And Stewie in and of itself, like the character is like perfect for quick hitter stuff. You're not going to, and they do build episodes around him, but I'm not as into the Stewie episodes as everybody else. So you want to do 30 minutes of an adventure of an evil baby? I don't know. Like, isn't the whole point is like that's comedic relief to everybody else? Like everybody else is really stupid and Stewie's really smart.
I think so. I used to watch a lot of Family Guy, not so much anymore. I will say the Ted Show is surprisingly good on like the Peacock like flashback Ted Show is actually like a good show, which is very surprising.
Huh?
But yeah, but multiple friends too be like, hey, this show's like pretty decent. So interesting. But yeah, Family Guy I don't watch a ton of anymore. But yeah, Stewie's like. He's not the main character because obviously that's Peter, but he's probably like number 2, I would say, him and Brian.
I would also say, and Family Guy has some great moments, and I would say I'm a fan of the show. I'm not the world's biggest fan of the show, but the characters in and of themselves, they're not, I don't know if the characters are the strongest characters. They did the Cleveland Show spinoff, which didn't do it for me.
No.
Listen, if you're not doing, I'm out on spinoffs in general.
Yeah, like if Bart Simpson never had a spinoff, I don't know if Stewie gets one.
I was going to say the same thing. Like, of all the Simpsons characters that you'd actually want a spinoff of, do any Family Guy characters rise to that level?
I don't think so. We'll have to ask. I feel like our next guest is a big Family Guy guy. Or he loves the GIFs, at least.
He
I
does.
see him quite frequently. Yes.
He loves the references. I don't know if he loves the show because, again, that is what Family Guy is. It's 30-second clips of just...
Family Guy was TikTok before TikTok, basically.
It's actually not a bad way to put it.
Just little shorts, back-to-back hits.
So I don't think I need 30 minutes of Stewie. I'm out on that. Now I'm just thinking about what Simpsons characters I would want a spinoff of. Would I watch the Groundskeeper Willie program? Of course I would.
It might be a dark program there.
It sure would be.
Imagine Mo. If Mo gets a spinoff, that's a dark program there.
Any of those guys. Some good stuff there.
All right.
Out on that.
All right, McCarthy. We'll keep with the very important topics here. Peacock is launching an AI-generated version of Andy Cohen. The AI Cohen will generate tea about new and recent Bravo shows personalized to a user's tastes. Matt McCarthy, are you in or out on AI Andy Cohen?
How much money is Andy Cohen getting paid to have AI Andy Cohen out there?
Probably not as much as Cowherd is getting paid for his, but you hope a pretty penny.
Good money if you can get it, but this is a strong out.
Haunting. It's haunting.
No, it's terrifying. So, like, Joe's not doing the show tonight, but we could create AI Joe Murray.
That's a scary thought.
I could have a conversation right now with Joe Murray, and not real Joe Murray, AI Joe Murray, about anything, really? Don't like that. Don't get me wrong. Would the conversation be amazing? I'm sure it would be. Not as good as real Joe Murray, but it's better than... AI Joe Murray is better than no Joe Murray, right? But
I'd have to meet AI Joe Murray first.
How could AI Joe Murray not be great?
Yeah, you're right. If it's strictly filtering the Joe content we have, it would have to be.
I'm not saying it's Joe himself. Give me the real Joe, but faced with the alternative, I might take AI Joe Murray. But faced with the alternative of Andy Cohen or no Andy Cohen, I'm going to go no Andy Cohen, no AI, out on this. Terrifying stuff.
Yeah, that's gonna be a hard out there. Matt
Here's
McCarthy,
the question: how can I make money off of this? That's what I want.
That's a great question. Maybe we can get something you're in on though. Steven Spielberg says he finally has a Western film in development that kicks ass. Matt McCarthy, are we in or out on a Steven Spielberg Western?
So I'm in on this, and not just because it's Spielberg. That might be the overrated element of this, but I like a good Western. Like a modern day Western. Did you see, and this, 15 years ago at this point, True Grit? When they did True Grit?
Yes,
True Grit was great.
Josh Allen's wife is very good in that movie, and she's like 10 years old or something. I think she was Oscar nominated.
She kicked ass in that movie.
Very good movie.
So I can get behind a good Western nowadays. I don't need the old Westerns.
Oh, come on. Some of them classics.
I get it.
Tombstone, come on. Everyone just looks so sweaty in those movies. The sweatiest people you've ever seen.
New modern Western, I'm down for that. In.
All right, McCarthy, from Westerns to Taco Bell. Taco Bell is adding a skincare item to its menu. Mountain Dew Baja Blast under eye patches are infused with caffeine and citrus to help hydrate the skin. Matt McCarthy, are we in or out on Mountain Dew Baja Blast under eye patches?
So what, you put them under your eye, what, to prevent
you
the
get
bags?
the crow's feet there, I believe they're called.
Gonna have to go strong out on this one here, Skaz.
You're not into putting soda on your face?
Listen, Taco Bell is there to destroy my insides. I don't need Taco Bell to destroy my outsides, too.
Strong take.
It's the purpose of it. Again, stick to your lane. I don't know if I need, all of these brands trying to branch out from what they normally do. I'm going to take a pass. And soda, too. I think we would all agree soda's not very good for us, but like Mountain Dew, where does Mountain Dew rank on the list of sodas that I would not want to put, not in my body, but on my body to make something happen with my body? To make my eyes look less baggy? Nah. Give me a Coca-Cola over this. Give me Pepsi. Give me anything. Sprite? You could convince me on Sprite. It's like lemon lime. I mean, lemons are good for you, right? Lime is good for you. Mountain Dew? Straight up caffeine? What is Mountain Dew even? I haven't had a Mountain Dew in forever.
That's a great question.
But no, seriously, what is it? I can tell you
science.
What a cola is. I can tell you what a root beer is. I can tell you what ginger ale is. I can tell you what Sprite is. It's a lemon lime soda. Like, yes. What is Mountain Dew? Explain it to me. It's kind of like Dr. Pepper. Like, explain that to me too. I know they've got 23 flavors, none of which I know anything about, but out.
Mountain Dew is described as liquid electricity. Originally developed in the 1940s as a whiskey mixer in Tennessee. Known for its citrus taste and neon green color. That's what Mountain Dew is.
No, it's the neon green too. If I'm putting anything neon green on my skin, I'm not expecting good results.
All right, McCarthy, we can wrap up with this one tonight as we have Alex Barth waiting. Will Ferrell is set to star in a new Netflix golf comedy series titled The Hawk. The official synopsis reads, Lonnie Hawkins, 2004's number one golfer, struggles on the back nine of his career and is trying to recapture the magic. His body says retire, but his heart says he's not done yet. Are you in or out on a Will Ferrell Netflix golf comedy series?
So I'm in on this, but I would be in on this if it were 20 years ago.
Yeah, Will Ferrell, he's had a little bit of a tough stretch lately, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like...
Never been the biggest Will Ferrell guy. I respect the career, of course, and the work. He's never been my favorite, but I feel like lately, not great.
Well, if we're talking, Will Ferrell back in the Anchorman, Talladega Nights, days, Step Brothers, yes, back when he's throwing 98. I love the concept of this. I want to give it a chance because if you're trying to essentially do Talladega Nights for golf on Netflix 20 years later and he's washed up and he's a hack, I think that could work. So I'm gonna give this a shot. I'm gonna say in, but I do want to acknowledge that it probably would have been better if it was just a golfer 20 years ago. Give it to you. Give it to you that way. All right, Alex Barth is coming our way next. 617-779-0985, the latest on A.J. Brown. It's Matt McCarthy in for Joe Murray.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the way on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
captain was hit by Radko Gudas last night. Headlines are brought to you by Boston Prolotherapy. Don't let joint pain keep you off the court, course, or trail. Eliminate that pain with Dr. Franke of Boston Prolotherapy. I'm Matt McCarthy. Your next update, 30 minutes.
Are you actually coaching the game, or it's just that is? I feel so strongly about that. I can't even tell you.
Boston Talk Sports here.
What do we got?
Sports.
777-909-85. The DR is just smoking Korea, by the way. Vlad Guerrero Jr. just homered again. Oh, no, it was just foul. It's still 7-0. Nonetheless, Roger Clemens, you said, throwing out the first pitch for the U.S. tonight. His number should be retired here in Boston. But I guess that's neither here nor there. To the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline we go, to a man who I actually know loves the World Baseball Classic. I know we're on to talk football, Barth, but nobody enjoys it more than you. Alex Barth from 985thesportshub.com. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Hey, look, it's a great tournament. It's a lot of high-level baseball at a time on the calendar where, we don't have a lot of baseball going on, especially as, the Red Sox, we haven't seen them in the playoffs, but not like these high-level games in a few years. Like, that playoff baseball is so good. So when you just kind of get it thrown at you like this, it's a lot of fun, especially coming off the Olympics too, already kind of locked in on the international sports thing. It's fun.
No, I couldn't agree more. Do you want this thing moved to July?
Yeah, as long as they don't take too many teams out of it. And I'm not sure if they could get, what do they have right now, 20? I'm not sure they could get 20 teams in it in July, but part of the fun, too, is like seeing the smaller countries and what they can put out there, smaller baseball countries, I should say. So, I'd hope they could keep it at least 16 teams.
So what, you want to see, Czechia out there playing baseball in July?
I mean, they had their electrician strike out your guy, Shohei Ohtani. That was pretty cool.
It was kind of a cool moment. I will give you that. Barth, what do you make of the A.J. Brown news, the latest on that tonight? Diana Rossini saying he will not be traded, at least for now, by the Eagles. What do you make of all of it?
I mean, no disrespect to Diana, but if he was going to get traded, I think he'd be traded, right? And what I mean by that is we've known that there are massive financial implications for the Eagles if they trade him before June 1st. And those tied in free agency, if they were going to move him and be willing to take on those implications and somebody was willing to pay the price, I think they would have done it by now. And it makes even less sense for a team to do it here after free agency. So once we kind of got through the first day and a half, and there was no move, I kind of figured we're looking at that post-June 1 deal. And I know she said the talks might ramp back up going towards June. Maybe as it becomes clear, but I can't see at this point. There's very little incentive for the Eagles to trade him before June 1st unless they just need that draft capital this year, but they're not going to get it. And then for other teams, the price probably goes down because the Eagles have a lot less leverage after June 1st. So I'm not super surprised based on how the week went that this thing's probably going to drag out into the summer.
Do you still think he ends up here in New England?
I think I still think it's a chance. If he's unhappy there, they basically have to ask themselves, because they said they won't get worse as a team, and that makes sense. They're a team that's, in a contending position. Does him being there make them a better or worse football team? And the thing about waiting till after June 1st is maybe they do get a player in the trade, but you look at what the Vikings did a couple years ago when they traded Stephon Diggs. They got the pick back, they draft Justin Jefferson, boom, you replace him. That's usually what happens in these kind of trades. That player gets traded for a pick, and that pick is used to draft their replacement. Well, if you're trading him in June, now the draft's gone. So the draft capital you're getting is for, 8 months from now? And maybe they get a player back in a trade like that, but they're probably going to be a worse team in the short term after they make that trade. Do they, on paper, do they feel like for chemistry or whatever reason that ultimately helps them and they're willing to do it? That's the big roadblock to me right now. Unless somebody offers, a legit player for him, but I just don't see why any team would do that.
So what do the Patriots do now, Barth? How does this affect the draft? Obviously you don't know if they were going to have to give up, some form of draft capital. He won't be moved until probably after June 1st, if he's even moved at all. How do the Patriots now approach the next month plus leading up to the draft as a result of this?
I don't think it changes much for the draft, just because if you were talking about, okay, A.J. Brown or this guy at 31, I don't think there's that wide receiver there at 31 that you see as like a game changer. And adding another guy who's going to factor in more in the middle of the depth chart. I mean, they drafted Kyle Williams last year. He really didn't get a chance to play. Figure it out with him first before you draft the next guy. I'm not saying they can't draft a wide receiver, but I don't think there's this sudden urgency to draft a receiver because you didn't get A.J. Brown, because I don't think the receiver that would create that kind of urgency is on the board. The one thing it might do, you know, if I'm the Patriots, if you know, okay, I'm going to have to trade 2027 draft capital to get him, there is already kind of an argument for them to trade down from 31, just what their needs are, the way the board stacks up. If you can get, you know, future second-round pick, and now you have an extra second to trade for A.J. Brown, like that could be something that could help. I don't think you would trade down just because of that, but that would honestly be the biggest consideration to me, is maybe you value future picks a little more in a trade. And they have 11 picks. They don't need to be adding picks in this draft. So if you're moving down, maybe you value future picks a little more instead of current ones, because then those are currency you can use to get A.J. Brown after June 1st.
Alex Barth joining us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. So Brown off the table, at least for now. How do you feel about their wide receiver room?
I think it's about the same as last year. I think the floor's a little lower, the ceiling's a little higher. You're counting on growth from Romeo Doubs in a new system. You know, he was about 250 yards shy of where Diggs ended up last year. Can he put that production in when he's going to be in an offense that's a little more focused around him? You know, you still hope you get a little internal growth from guys like Kayshon Boutte and Pop Douglas, certainly Kyle Williams. So about the same. I think there's probably a little more variance. Diggs was more of a sure thing, especially looking back, knowing how healthy he was as opposed to Dobbs. But I think they're fine. Like, I'm kind of where I was last year. I think it's fine. It's not a great room. It's not a bad room. It's much better than it was 2 or 3 years ago, but they still don't have that, like, for sure coverage dictating guy. They have all the roles filled, and they're solid players, but it's not that guy that, you know, stands above and beyond.
How much does Drake May need that?
I don't know if he needs that guy versus, and this is partially because of how Josh McDaniels operates. I don't know that he needs that guy versus players that just fit into certain roles really well. And if you give him all these different options and he has an opportunity on a play, okay, this guy can do something that can beat this look, this guy can do something that can beat this look, this guy can do something that can beat this look. Like, he's smart enough to just kind of go through it and figure it out. And that's what we saw him do at times last year. So that guy helps. I'm not saying that, you know, he wouldn't be elevated that much more by that guy, but I think if you just put everybody in the right role, he's talented enough to elevate that. And the one they're missing right now is like the 50-50 ball outside guy. Matt Collins can kind of do that. That's a spot where maybe you look to upgrade, although they have good chemistry. But he shouldn't need that guy. It would be great if they get him for him. It's going to take him to another level. Look at what happened when Brady got Moss. But when Brady didn't have Moss, he was still pretty good. So I don't think they need that guy, but with a young quarterback, it's absolutely something that you should be actively trying to add.
What have you made of the Patriots offseason so far, Barth? They've been active, certainly over the last few days. Not to say give it a grade, but your overall thoughts.
I mean, I think they've been solid. They've been fine. They've kind of done more or less what they needed to do. I don't know that they've gone beyond that. The edge position's a little more thin than I thought it would be coming out of free agency. I thought that was a position, just based on who was available, where they could make a little more of a splash. Draymond Jones is a solid, steady player, but they have a lot of solid, steady players on defense. What they needed to me, and I wrote about this on 98.5thesportshub.com, they needed the playmaker. As good as they were at preventing other teams' offenses from making plays, and that sounds like a no-duh, but it's not easy to do. They were really good at preventing other teams' offenses from making plays. They didn't make a ton of plays of their own. Their turnover number was low. Their sack number was low. So that was one spot I kind of wanted them to add a playmaker, and I thought they could, and they didn't. But besides that, I mean, I think they've checked a lot of the boxes that they realistically needed to check this offseason.
Do you have a move they've made that you like the most?
You know, the Dobbs move, I don't hate buying on potential. I don't hate paying for potential after the way things went with Milton Williams last year. You know, they're kind of on a hot streak of veteran acquisitions. Pound for pound, though, I mean, Reggie Gilliam's a really fun addition. And having a real fullback,
I knew you. And by the way, I agree with you, but knowing you as well as I do, Barth, I know you're fired up about the fullback.
Well, and I just wrote something about it. It was really cool talking to him yesterday. You can check it out on 985thesportshub.com. We got into some like real fullback, I should say, minutia about the position, the history of the position. We talked about this last year, and I think it got lost a little bit in the end because Drake made this great season, and it was like, why would you take the ball out of Drake May's hands? He's been this great player, but they did get one-dimensional down the stretch because they couldn't run the ball. And everybody was so focused on the pass game, I think that's where it got lost. But they don't have the talent to be a one-dimensional offense. Most teams don't. And they need to be better at running the ball and having consistency running the ball, not, 4-run stuffed and then you break an 80-yarder, but like real consistent 4 to 5 to 6 yard carries. And Reggie Gilliam's going to go a long way in helping with that. Elijah Vera Tucker, the tight end they added as well for Miami. Like they seem to have a focus on upgrading their ability to run the football, which I think was, an understated need for them. Because again, they can't just be a pass happy team. It's nothing against Drake May. It's just so hard to live that way sustainably in the NFL. You don't want to do that unless you really have to do it. So putting more assets into the run game, and look, that's going to open up the pass because they'll be more multidimensional. It'll free up play action, things like that. It'll help them out.
Now that free agency is not to say done, but pretty much done.
Yeah, it's pretty much done.
It's pretty much done. That means you get to now focus your attention entirely on the NFL draft. First and foremost, congratulations. Happy draft season to you, Barth.
Thank you.
There's literally nobody more happy about that than you. What's their biggest need in the draft at this point coming out of the first week of free agency?
I think it's edge rusher. They need more pop there. They need more explosiveness there. And the way they operated, I think they believe it as well because they had a couple of, there were a couple guys in free agency would have made sense. Even Caleb on Chason for the contract he got. Arnold Ebiketie was somebody they were linked to, signed with the Eagles last night for not a ton of money. And these were secondary guys. These are not guys that were going to change defense. And so I kind of wondered, that would have been a nice complementary addition. Why didn't they do that? Well, if they believe Harold Landry's coming back healthy and they're going to count on him, okay, he's going to play a significant role. You paid Draymond Jones. He's going to play a significant role. I think they like what they got out of Elijah Ponder last year. He's probably going to play more. So now if you sign one of these free agents, if you then draft a guy, he's 5th on the depth chart, maybe 4th if he passes Ponder. He's not going to play a lot. I think that there's edge guys in this draft that they like, that they see significant roles for, that they maybe could have added another veteran, but they have that role earmarked for a rookie. So I think it's edge, and I think they think it's edge.
All right, so break it down for me. Who are the edge rushers you're looking at in this draft and why? And where from?
It's a really good draft for edge rushers. So some of these guys are, they're not all going to fall to 31. I'm not saying they'll have their choice between all these guys, but somebody's going to fall because you're not going to have, 6 edge rushers go in the top 20 and the top 30. The 2 guys I've taken for them in mock draft so far, Akeem Mesidor from Miami. So he was on the other side of Ruben Bain, who's going to be a top 10 pick. Really nuanced player, really good toolbox, has a good understanding of the game, athletic, flexible. The catch is, and look, they're picking at 31 this year, not in the top 5, so the catches get a little more significant. Akeem Mesidor is 25 years old. Now, for a team that maybe is trying to win a little more win now than they were a year ago, there is some upside of a 25-year-old rookie too. He's going to be ready to go. You're not going to have to teach him a ton. The other guy I took in the mock draft was Zion Young from Missouri, bigger, more bully ball, physical rusher. His name came up around them, and the reports out of the combine a good amount. Cassius Howell from Texas A&M is their kind of rusher. You look at his comps, it's a lot of Harold Landry, the draft experts comparing him to Harold Landry. The thing with him, though, he has short arms. And when I say short, this is not Will Campbell short. This is the shortest by any player at the position since, I think, 2003, when the measurements begin. Now, it's not as consequential. This is the guy
you texted me about. You were Skaz, you should have been there when I got this text.
I know how much you love to judge a player by arm length and nothing else, so I figured you'd get a kick out.
Well, hold on. Me? Barth. Seriously, don't put that on me. I mean, I was interested in the Will Campbell arm length thing, but I didn't do show after show on it. You got to direct that at some other people at this station. You know what? I resent that comment, Barth. I do.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That might have been a bit of a shot, but
directed at somebody else. Once again,
I talked to them about it. I was on the day after the draft with them about it.
Listen, I am not Mike Felger. I don't have to answer for Mike. And the amount of people who call and try to make me answer for Mike, call him. So, Barth, you're going to be on his show in the next few weeks. Talk arm length with him, not with me. Don't hold me
I'm
accountable.
sure we'll talk about it. And I'll say the same thing about Hal that I said about Will Campbell. I don't think arm length doesn't matter. I think it does. I think it's something you look at. But just like anything else, it's a factor you watch and you say, okay, I know he has shorter arms. How does he compensate for it? How does he deal with it? If it's something that you think the player does a good job of handling and working around and he's still able to produce and be talented, then yeah, it checks the box and you've acknowledged it, and you've looked at it, and you've kind of cleared it. If you watch him and you say, like, okay, no, his short arms are showing up a ton, then you move on. I think Cash Hal is very talented. It's just a matter of how much NFL teams are going to look at his measurements and if he's going to fall off of that.
Barth, before I let you go, rank the Patriots' needs in the draft. You said edge is one. I would agree with that. Where do you go from there?
Yeah, so edge is one. Wide receiver is kind of two, but again, the wide receiver that they really need to add isn't there. So it's tough to put it on the list when realistically they can't address it. Tight end is certainly up there. I think that they got to get the next guy in the building after Hunter Henry, and there's some guys in this draft that I think fit that mold. Max Clare, Sam Roush, Oscar Delp, and tackle, getting the next right tackle behind Morgan Moses, kind of the same thing, a pipeline. And then, sneaky need for me is safety and really defensive back. They don't have a lot of depth at either of those spots. Carlton Davis is going into the final year of guaranteed money in his contract. He technically has 2 more years, but this is his last year of guaranteed money. And if they're going to pay Gonzalez, you kind of like somebody on a rookie deal on the other side. And then I really like the Kevin Byard signing, but he's 33. So I think adding depth in the secondary, people aren't used to talking about depth as a need for the Patriots because they just had to rebuild the whole roster. They've come far enough at this point that we can talk about some of these more luxury needs as like legitimate needs for them. So the secondary is certainly one for me too.
All right, Barth, great stuff as always. Where can people find your draft coverage now that we're moving into that part of the season?
98.5thesportshub.com. We got a ton up from yesterday in the Patriots free agent introductions. I got stuff on Romeo Doubs, on Reggie Gilliam, on a bunch of players. And then, we'll start. We'll have the mock draft mailbag on Monday, the first one of the year. People can submit theirs on my Twitter at @RealAlexBarth.
Hold on. We have something here from Skaz.
Yes, Barth. Not football related, but I think of you as a family guy. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Have you heard Fox is going to do a Stewie spinoff series? Are you in or out on a Stewie spinoff series?
So I saw this today, and I didn't really get a chance to look it up. Are they taking him off Family Guy?
I can't imagine that's the case, but I don't know.
If they're taking him off Family Guy, I am completely and totally out. And who am I to question Seth MacFarlane? I think he's brilliant, but if they're taking him off Family Guy, I'm out. If it's just essentially going to be extra Family Guy episodes, sure. Like, whatever. I'm good with that. But they can't, because like when they had the Cleveland show, right, Cleveland left. He went to Virginia. And so if they're going to take Stewie out of the whole dynamic, it would be really weird, and that would suck. If it's just going to be extra, on top of what they're doing on Family Guy, sure, fine, whatever.
This is why we ask.
The real question is, when the Red Sox eventually send Marcelo Meyer to Worcester, Barth, is Bucky LaGrange going to be taking his place? What's the deal?
That's an excellent Bucky LaGrange reference.
Do my best.
That episode is probably like 20 years old at this point. Bucky LaGrange is probably long retired.
Of all the 2-armed youngsters in the minor leagues, we'll let you go on that, Barth. Thanks
a lot. An all-time bit. Thanks for having me.
All right, I'll see you around. That's Alex Barth joining us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. You nailed it, Skaz. He was very passionate about that.
I can't imagine they're going to take Stewie away from his family. I don't know. That feels strong.
Well, Stewie can take care of himself. I mean, he's an evil genius. Does he need his mother?
I think if you asked him, he would say no.
It's a cartoon. They can take the baby away from the family. It's a cartoon. For Christ's sakes, Skaz. They
did kill the dog at one point and had to bring him back because of fan outrage. So I guess they can do anything.
Wait, they killed Brian?
I believe so at one point. I think that did happen. And the replacement, maybe they were always going to bring him back, but yeah, it didn't go so well.
are some of the worst replacements in television history? There's got to be a list.
Ashton Kutcher for Charlie Sheen, probably up there, right?
Yeah, right there.
I'm trying to think of other replacements.
We can effort
question.
this.
Yeah, I mean, we got time. It's a Friday night.
No, Friday night. Worst replacements in television history. 617-779-0985. The thing is, though, it would have really happened on. It always happens when shows are losing in their way to begin with. I mean, Michael Scott, not really replaced on The Office, but kind of replaced on The Office. That's up there, right?
Yeah. Will Ferrell, not great in that role.
No. But that was short-lived, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. James Spader, I kind of like the Spader episodes. I know they're weird, but I don't hate them. Robert California.
It's a question for Zoe.
Yeah, that's true.
He's a man who loves The Office. We'll continue. It's McCarthy in for Joe.
You're listening to Joe. You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5. You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.
All right, Matt McCarthy in for Joe Murray. I think we hit most of them, Skaz. The worst TV show replacements. Although from the YouTube chat, we did miss a big one. Steve from Blue's Clues.
Oh, that's a very good one. New Steve stunk.
Joe?
Was that his name? Joe? Yeah, I don't even remember.
Get out of here with that.
Boo.
I was just talking about this earlier in a completely different conversation. I was trying to remember. It's Mrs. Salt and Mr. Pepper, right?
Yes, and Paprika, I believe, was her daughter.
I was talking about the episode where Paprika is born.
A big one.
Huge.
A seminal moment.
Huge moment in
my young life. Very educational, yes.
We'll get into this as part of the musings, but I did go down 90s child television lane a couple of days ago on social. Got a lot of reaction for it.
I know you've been a traveling man as of late. I don't know how much of the Joe show you've heard, but a topic Joe has recently kind of wandered into a deep dive of is 90s and 80s. Basically, the mom always hooking up with like a professional athlete or something, like The Rookie and like all those like big league movies and stuff. It's always the right. Mom is always. It was such a big theme where the mom always ends up with like an athlete or something.
Such a good point.
So we've done some deep dives on a lot of movies in the 90s. That's a very strong theme.
I mean, Little Big League they go right after it.
Oh, they certainly do.
I mean, this is Rookie of the Year. It's kind of like Chet Steadman and the mom,
he's
sort of in the end.
Yeah,
I mean, he's Chet Steadman.
Of course, he's The Rock.
Are you kidding me? He literally left his arm on the field. It tore. It's the greatest guitar riff of all time when Chet Steadman's arm literally falls apart, disintegrates. I need one more. One more. But Little Big League, no, they go right after it. I mean, the star third baseman is banging the mom, and Billy benches the star third baseman, and they miss the playoffs by one game because he sits down the star third baseman because he's been banging his mom.
Fireable.
Totally fireable. And those soft ass fans in Minnesota gave him a standing ovation and chanted his name at the end of it. Can you imagine sports talk radio in Minnesota? Can you imagine 98.5 The Sports Hub covering that story?
Oh, Jake and Boston be having a field day with that one.
You kidding me? It's the worst managerial. Honestly, he makes
Mark DeRosa
makes Mark DeRosa look better.
Movie accurate Mark DeRosa.
I mean, DeRosa just didn't know. Billy knew. He did it out of spite.
That is the crime.
He knew. He knew what he was doing. And here's the problem. Nobody can say anything to him because he owns the freaking team. Why don't they make more movies like that? Like, what happened to like sports movies for kids? It was a great era for sports movies for kids.
A lot of Air Bud. He was playing every sport under the sun.
Patriots need some help at wide receiver.
Little Giants.
Yeah. Call up Air Bud. He got smoked at the end of that movie, didn't he? Huh?
Tough one.
We can't be doing that. We can't be tackling dogs.
No, you can't. You can't have that.
I mean, Family Guy found out. They ran over Brian, and that was it. And they had to bring him back. We can't be tackling dogs.
No more dead dogs, please.
We can have moms bang third baseman.
Yeah, that's canon at this point.
You kidding me? I encourage it. If you're asking me, a little more of that content, but dog tackling, I'm good.
I do have some great bad recastings. Can I give you one that really irks me?
Sure.
Jake from State Farm. I mean, the original Jake from State Farm was just like a guy. And now he's like a celebrity. He's like a real, he's like, that guy is no longer like a human. He is Jake from State Farm. He's like at the NBA All-Star game,
corporate
MLB.
mascot.
Like, I don't need your company to have like a human mascot. It could just be a guy. Yeah, Flo. Like, just.
Emu. Doug,
yes.
Like.
Out on Doug and the emu.
Yeah.
But
no,
yeah,
I agree.
That's one that irks me.
That's the first rocket to the sun.
Yes.
Limu, Emu, and Doug. Jake from State Farm. Flo. Yeah. Capital One bank guy.
Were you a Game of Thrones guy?
I really wasn't.
Okay,
I watched the final episode.
Well, that's all you needed.
It's
not great.
No, it was not. I've seen the first episode and the last one.
Perfect.
First episode was great.
Yeah, very good.
Really good. Watched that in a TV class back in college. That was, by the way, that was the best class to take.
What a class.
We watched Jersey Shore. We had to write a paper on it.
There you go. I took a, what was it? What are the Jennifer Lawrence series?
Jennifer Lawrence?
What is it? They're books. I took a class on that in college, and we just watched the movies. The Hunger Games.
Oh.
The Hunger Games, yes.
Oh, yeah,
a class all about the Hunger Games, yes.
Sure.
Great.
Sign me up.
Phenomenal. Easy couple credits there.
I just showed a Simpsons episode from my day. It was like literally show a favorite episode of your...
At Marge in the Monorail, what'd you do?
No, I did the episode, the one where Homer jumps Springfield Gorge.
Classic.
Another classic.
Classic. I took a Canadian studies class as well. One time we showed up and the guy just said, "Here's How I Met Your Mother. This show's kind of Canadian." And that was tremendous. Tremendous. So yeah, he was like, "There's a couple of Canadians in this show. Watch it." And so we did.
That is a great show.
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, it was better than college at 8 a.m. or whatever it was.
That's a good show. I think How I Met Your Mother the last great sitcom.
Oh. When did it end?
2014.
Oh, I'm trying to think.
People say like Big Bang or something like that.
No. Brooklyn Nine-Nine was pretty popular. I don't know when that ended, though. I feel like that got canceled and then brought back.
Because sitcoms don't, there are no good sitcoms anymore.
No, you get like 6 episodes a season now as opposed to 25.
I would argue that How I Met Your Mother is the last great sitcom. Because The Office probably ended a little before that, right?
I would imagine.
And I'm not a huge Office fan, but like I do have to acknowledge its greatness. It's not necessarily for me, but it works.
Yeah, I would say like the only sitcom I'm probably like watching right now is like Abbott Elementary, maybe, because my fiance is like a big fan. She used to be a school teacher, so. But yeah, I can't think of a sitcom that I'm currently watching.
Modern Family.
Does that still exist?
Maybe.
I feel like everyone from that show's got to be like, the kids are 30 now.
You want to talk like that? You want to talk about the king of like recasting characters, though?
That show?
No, just sitcoms in general.
Well, yes, yeah. Wasn't Cheers famous for that?
You get to a the contract dispute and the characters just get recast. I had no idea because I did some research on this during the breaks, Gaz. You know, Frank Costanza was a recast. You know, Jerry Stiller was a recast.
I believe Morty Seinfeld was as well. I think in one of the first episodes, he's a different guy and he stinks.
Not great.
He's terrible. And then,
by the way, the first couple seasons of Seinfeld are not great.
A couple misses in there, but they find their stride.
Yeah, about season 3 or so.
Yes, if he's a recast, he's the greatest of all time because he is the funniest character in that show.
He might be the funniest character in the history of television.
Yes, he's right up there.
I mean, who's better than Frank Costanza?
Maybe
George. The episode where George fakes his death and Steinbrenner goes to the house is
tremendous.
Makes me laugh to this day. Tremendous. I've seen it a million times. I'll just go on YouTube and watch the clip. I laugh every time.
The Man's Ear, classic.
The Bro.
The Man's Ear.
617-779-0985. Justin in Lynn. Hey, Justin.
Hey, Matt, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Robb and Anthony and the World Baseball Conference so far? And what do the Red Sox do for Masataka Yoshida? Do they move him? And I just wanted your thoughts on that.
See you, Justin. Always good to hear from you. What do they do about Masataka Yoshida? So Masataka Yoshida is going to go from hitting cleanup for Team Japan, the second or third best baseball nation in the world, their cleanup hitter, to not playing for the Boston Red Sox. So that's strong roster construction right there. But, I kind of get it. I want Duran in the lineup over Yoshida. I certainly want Anthony in the lineup over Yoshida. Yoshida can't play the field. He doesn't hit for power, so what's he going to do? It is what it is. And I've enjoyed the World Baseball Classic. It's a good product for what it is. For March, what am I going to do in March? Am I going to watch an NBA game where the Wizards don't give a crap and Bam Adebayo scores 83 points because he keeps going to the foul line? Like, is that what you want me to watch? This is better than that. It's better than anything else in the sports landscape right now. We haven't reached the playoffs in hockey, which are, of course, tremendous. The NBA regular season, as we know, based on what we saw this week, is a joke. So, yeah, I mean, I'll get into it. Wish the pitchers were there. It'd be better in July, but for March, man, I'll take it. It's not bad. Plus, I mean, the Mark DeRosa story is one of the great stories I've come across. That is top level.
I'm trying to think of like his counterpart for another U.S. national team, and like Klinsmann was better than him. I'm like trying to think of like a guy that was on par with him, and it's kind of tough to do. Like maybe the guy in the 90s when they finished 32 out of 32 in the World Cup, but I don't even remember that guy's name. It was like John Sampson or something like that. Like
and at that point, soccer in the United States was, I mean, it was like...
Yeah, they sucked. They weren't supposed to be good. The baseball team, at least, you're supposed to be good and you're supposed to know. It's our sport. Remember, it's our pastime. Like, you don't know how the damn series works?
Not only did we invent the sports, guys, we invented this tournament.
Yeah.
It's literally a Major League Baseball creation, and they hired one of their own employees because he works for the team network or the league network. They hired Zoe to manage this team.
And
he managed it the way Zoe would manage it.
I think Zoe would have been better than Mark DeRosa.
Zoe would have come in and been Zoe and be like, you guys figure this out, right? I mean, he would have been rah-rah. He would have been great. It's like, manage, I don't want to do that. And then his bench coach would have, actually known the rules because he would have had to, because it's like, I got to step up because Zoe's just here to get everybody fired up.
Who should be the manager of Team USA?
Isn't David Ross on the staff? So, I mean, I guess the issue is...
The teams are in spring training?
The teams are in spring training. So it's not like you're going to get, I don't know. You're not getting Bruce Bochy. Oh, wait, is Bruce Bochy done in... is he done in Texas? Is he still managing there? I'd have to check that.
I think he's done.
So Bruce Bochy, perfect, right?
He's 70.
Old school guy. Yeah. That's what this job has always been. It was like Davey Johnson, Buck Martinez. I think Jim Leland managed it after you retire. It's like it's the retirement gig. You go out and get some old crotchety, guy, and there you go. It's not great. Not a great representation. This is the best we can do. Mark DeRosa. 617-779-0985. Speaking of that does sort of tie into tonight's musings, which I will explain next because, it's the Joe Show. You got to muse, right? We'll continue. It's McCarthy in for Joe.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Oh, I guess I do that here. Yeah. Team USA up 1-0 on Canada right now in the World Baseball Classic quarterfinal. This game in the third inning. The Dominican Republic, meanwhile, out to a 7-0 lead on South Korea, in the top of the seventh in their quarterfinal.
You want a random take? Murray's got all sorts on stuff in the world unrelated to sports. So sit back, relax, and get your mind in the game and listen to the words of a grown man complain.
Nights, guys, would you say how much of the show is sports and how much of the show is non-sports, sports adjacent?
I would say it's a 60-40 maybe sports. When we're in season in the summer. Might be 70-30 not sports. I mean, we're just being honest here. But yeah, I think usually the first 90 minutes to 2 hours is relatively sports heavy. And then we let the night take us where it goes.
Things get weird, man.
They do. And we encourage it.
No, I would agree, especially a Friday night. So let me ask you this.
Friday the 13th, nonetheless.
How did I not notice that? So I will ask you this again. I feel almost bad even mentioning the term sports in this segment, but let me ask you, Skaz, is Pokemon fighting a sport?
Pokemon fighting a sport?
Yeah, like Pokemon battling.
No, it's a hobby. It's an activity.
Ask the people in my Twitter mentions. I tweeted out the other day that the Mark DeRosa situation was probably the worst case of managerial incompetence I had witnessed personally. Since Ash Ketchum chose Charizard in the 1999 Pokemon League round of 16. Shout out to every person born in the year 1991, because it was a very big deal. I didn't really think anything of it, opened my phone later and found out that about 100,000 people were fighting over Pokemon in my mentions.
Hot button topic these days.
Debating whether Ash made the right decision or the wrong decision, whether he had a choice, whether he had to rely on Charizard, whether it was his fault at all to send Charizard out there in the first place, or whether he should have done a better job training him, whether he should have sent a Pokemon out there with a different type advantage against the Charmander and the Pikachu that he ultimately faced in that round of 16. I mean, you couldn't send Bulbasaur out there in that spot. It would have been a type advantage, so you sent Charizard out instead. The amount of people fighting over this in my mentions, Skaz, was mind-boggling to
Was
me.
Tyler Milliken one of them?
He was not. I don't think Milliken saw this, but let me tell you, I tweet out something about the Bruins, nobody cares. I tweet out something about a Pokemon episode from 30 years ago. Everybody's all about it. So you know what? I'm actually kind of thinking it's a sport. I'm thinking this is a sport. People are all kinds of fired up about it. I mean, it is battling. You're sending two creatures out there that are just battling to the near death when you really think about it. I mean, we've sent athletes to prison over that, but this is totally activity involved.
Is there?
Very much, Skaz, very much strategy involved.
Is there physical activity involved?
Well, I mean, yes, from the Pokemon that are battling, the creatures, the animals that are battling to the near death.
Sure, maybe for them it's a sport. I don't know about for
the trainer,
for the layman,
Well, I mean, you gotta be active.
So is like Madden a sport?
I mean, in this scenario, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, it would be. It's a competitive activity.
All right, if that's your baseline, who am I to argue?
Just saying.
Ash Ketchum.
Bad trainer.
Like the Buffalo Bills, except he actually won one recently, I believe. His first one ever.
Took him 30 years.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I hadn't watched in about 25 of those years, but I saw that. I'm not going to lie.
I saw the headline.
I felt some things. Did I go and watch the episode where he won? Yes, because I felt like I owed it to my 8-year-old self that watched him send Charizard out in the Pokemon League round of 16 in 1999, which is still the dumbest decision I've ever seen to this day. He was not obedient. This is a 10-year-old child out there with a fire-breathing flying lizard who could crush and kill any of you. And we're letting that child try to harness this thing? What kind of world is this?
It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Guys, if that is not a sport, I don't know what is. I mean, there's an inherent danger involved in it. People pack a stadium to watch this thing happen.
I can't argue that.
In that world, it's a sport. It's like their version of the NFL. Bunch of gladiators out there.
Maybe more like esports, Maybe it's more in that realm.
I think you're discrediting it. This is a real thing. It's a real world thing. These animals are real.
I think Michael Vick got in trouble for something very similar to this at one point.
Yes, he did. But in this world, in the world of Kanto, Skaz, it's a very legal and encouraged pastime.
Pallet Town, That's what I know about.
to raise these animals and train them to fight. I mean, if Stephen A. Smith can debate who would win, Mewtwo or LeBron James, it's a very legitimate topic. That man may be our president in 3 years. So this is a very serious topic.
Very serious. What's Professor Oak up to these days?
Well, if you think about it, like, what is his legacy? He sent that 10-year-old kid out there with a fire-breathing lizard that he could not control. Like, what do you think sports talk radio is like the next day after that? It's getting crushed.
Talk about the think tanks, you know?
I'd be dialing right up at 617-779-0985 wondering, like, if Oak has lost his fastball.
I can see us having some Team Rocket callers, you know?
We should. It's an elite couples costume out there. Goes Jesse and James. It may be on the docket for this year. That's amusing for you. Not amusing. I'm not going to determine whether or not you found it enjoyable. It is musing. Murray's musing. Justin in Framingham. Justin.
Hey guys, Justin from Framingham here. Thanks for taking my call. Shout out to my buddy Dennis at Kowloon. Regarding what a sport is, like, this is a question I've been dying to. This is like a great eternal debate I always have with my friends. And here's the thing: I play this so-called sport myself right now as an adult, but I grew up playing basketball, football, and baseball. Right, like I played basketball in college too. Do you guys consider golf to be a sport? Because I mean, there's like to me like that. Yes.
Yes, definitely, without a doubt, golf is a sport.
And I always wondered about that because I was like the level of like physical exertion that I put in that versus like other sports that I always played growing up. Like there's like it's minimal, you know.
Well, it's a lifelong sport. You can go out there and play it when you're 80.
Yeah, and
it's definitely a sport.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue like a golfer walking 18 at some of these courses is moving more than like a left fielder in some MLB games. Like how many you might get 3 fly balls a game, like. Yeah, you run around the bases a couple times, but you're walking. No, I'm not saying it's like a triumph of physical strength or anything, but yes, I understand seeing the Walrus out there, Craig Stadler or John Daly may have you thinking it's not a sport, but you go play 18 4 days in a row and you see how you shoot and let me know how you feel after that 4th day.
Roman Anthony's not running around the bases because he just struck out runners on 2nd and 3rd against Micah Ashman.
I'm sorry?
Ashman.
Topical. Very topical.
Very. It just may be a sport. I feel like that's God's sign that it's a sport. We'll continue. It's McCarthy in for Joe.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the way on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Find your pot of gold at the 99 restaurant. Stop in this St. Patrick's Day for lucky specials.
Sports Hub headlines, presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
All right, Team USA out to a 3-0 lead on Canada in the top of the fourth inning in World Baseball Classic quarterfinals. U.S. scoring 2 runs on an Abraham Toro throwing error. Elsewhere, the Dominican Republic just slaughter-ruled Korea 10-0 in the seventh inning. They advance to the semifinals. A.J. Brown will not be traded anytime soon. That, at least according to Diana Rossini, who say they will not trade Brown at this time. There is a chance a deal gets done closer to June 1st and that the Patriots and the Rams remain interested. Celtics and the Wizards tomorrow night after the C's lost in Oklahoma City last night. Bruins visit Washington tomorrow after falling to the Sharks 4-2 last night. Austin Matthews done for the year. He tore his MCL after being hit by Radko Gudas last night. The league just handed down a 5-game suspension for Gudas. And second round action at the Players, Ludwig Oberg, your leader at 12 under par. Headlines are brought to you by Awaken 180. It's great to have goals. It's even better to have experts help you attain those goals. Experts in weight loss, awaken180weightloss.com. I'm Matt McCarthy on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update in 30 minutes.
The Sports Hub. 3 legendary franchises on one legendary radio station.
He scores!
It's the Sports Hub.
Wells started the night on the bench. Ends the night with a 3-run homer! Santa Maria!
How else you're getting on a Friday night in March? Crowds into it. Teams are into it. The United States has the biggest idiot manager on the face of the planet. And here we are. I got a question for you, though, Scott. Sorry, you got something for me?
I was just going to say, I'm looking at the game right now, and Alex Bregman is up in the manager's area. I think I'd rather just have him be the manager.
Why not?
Yeah, just let him do it. Why not?
Basically managed the Red Sox last year.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're led to believe. Just let Bregman do it. Literally anybody else besides DeRosa. Anybody on the staff, although I don't know. I mean, Andy Pettit.
Who was the guy the Sox had for 1 year? I'd take that guy.
Oh, Ron Renicky?
Yeah. Tosh, what's he up to? You know, he's probably looking for a job.
I'm guessing he has nothing going on.
What's Brian Butterfield up to these days, you know?
Strong infield instructor.
You can't teach Jeter forever, you know? He's got to do something else.
Wendell Kim, may he rest in peace.
Oh, who was my guy?
Send him in.
Yeah?
Red Sox. If the Red Sox had Wendell Kim as their third base coach, they would have beaten the Yankees last year.
Who was the other guy, though, after Wendell Kim?
Gene Lamont.
No, he was fantastic, though.
Dale Swaim.
Maybe.
Yeah, it was Dale Swaim.
Wave everybody in.
Send them all. You want Slaughter Rule to come to Major League Baseball? So that was 10-0 in the seventh, so that's it. Game over. You want a Slaughter Rule?
I've thought about it. Yes, I would like a Slaughter Rule. And DeMarlo Hale was the gentleman I was thinking of. Yeah. He loved to send guys.
Sure.
Loved it.
When you really think about it, third base coach, is that one of the most thankless positions in sports?
Gotta be.
Has to be.
You only mess up. You're never like.
There's no success.
Great send. You know. You only mess up.
They don't break that down on SportsCenter. Felger and Maz don't open the show the next day being like, "Hey, great send there from Kyle Hudson."
You guys see Carlos Fable send that guy the other night? What a send!
Tremendous. You know, that's not clipped on Twitter a million times. Look at that send. Now Wendell Kim, though, he had the best windmill of them all. Tremendous.
Looking at the history of Red Sox third base coaches, Don Zimmer, a couple stints in here as third base coach. Some of them didn't last too long, like only a couple months. So I wonder what was going on down there at third with old Donnie in the 70s.
You can't fire guys like you used to, right? I mean, you think about it. I mean, Kyle Hudson basically cost them a trip to the ALDS last year. He's back on the job, no problem. Doesn't happen anymore. The good old scapegoating of the third base coach. I miss it. But no, I think
Fatsy's still here. I mean, that should tell you all you need to know.
It's a Cora guy. I kid you not, I knew Pete Fatsy 15 years ago. He was coaching high school kids in Western Mass.
Driveline?
I met him. Nice guy. Super nice guy.
Great personality, I'm sure.
I will never have a bad thing to say about Pete Fatsi.
Makes one of us.
What are you going to do? I mean, he had Abraham Toro basically batting cleanup last year at the end of that season. I'd have to look and see who was batting cleanup for them. Actually, it was
Romy Gonzalez.
It was probably Masataka Yoshida, who's also batting cleanup for Team Japan. By the way, thoughts and prayers to Alex Cora being without his binky, Romy Gonzalez. What's he going to do?
It's true. I mean, that's their trade deadline acquisition, though. I can see the headlines now.
Getting Romy back.
We're getting Romy back. Fire up the duck boats.
And Cora does love himself some Romy Gonzalez.
The guy loves platoons.
He sure does.
He's addicted to platoons.
Oh, yeah. Milliken said something the other day. He's like, he's had a tendency to go away from platoons. I'm like, go away from platoons? You kidding me?
What world?
Man loves himself a lefty masher. But hey, when you don't have an actual masher in your lineup, you might as well get a lefty masher.
He doesn't like those either, apparently.
If Major League Baseball implemented the slaughter rule, which, by the way, I think they should, because then all of a sudden, doesn't that make a 9-run game in the 7th inning kind of interesting if you're at the ballpark?
Very interesting.
I'm into it.
Yes.
Now, here's the problem with it. It works in the World Baseball Classic because they don't want to, the justification for the mercy rule is they don't want to overuse these pitchers, which I get. And let's be honest, a lot of the matchups are going to result in some form of a mercy rule. Because, I mean, as we saw tonight, the DR versus Korea, it's not a matchup.
Would you like a stat from last year?
Sure.
In 2025, the Boston Red Sox never trailed by 10 runs in a regular season game.
That's a little surprising.
Doesn't feel right.
No. Because
they suffered a 9-0 loss to the Blue Jays. Oh, wait. They lost 16-1 last year. So what's going on here?
Yeah, I was going to say that every team in baseball loses by 10 runs at least once in the year. Even the best teams in baseball, you're going to have a night where you just get smoked. It's just the way it is. It's the sport.
Let me down.
How dare it? But I think baseball that would be good for the sport. Here's why it won't happen. That ad space in the 8th and 9th inning is sold, isn't it?
Probably prime time, the 9th inning.
Yeah.
Rob Manfred's not going to let that happen.
Can't do it. Won't happen for the ad space in particular.
I will say Rob Manfred still stinks at his job, but the other commissioners in sports have been kind of doing him some solids lately. Adam Silver, some not so great headlines over the last, a couple weeks and certainly the last calendar year. Goodell steps in it every once in a while, but it feels like Manfred he hasn't escaped the swarm of hatred from baseball fans, but it feels like the other commissioners effing up has certainly helped him a little bit ease the pain.
Well, Manfred's legacy will be, and it will come down to whether or not there's a strike or a lockout this upcoming
which there will be.
And that would be disastrous for baseball, given the sport is in its healthiest place in years. But if there's labor peace, Manfred's legacy will ultimately be the rule changes, which save the sport. Yeah, literally save the sport.
Which is crazy because he stinks. But he did do the rule changes, which helped the sport. So talk about a two-sided legacy, but he shortened baseball and inevitably gave the sport a revitalization that it needed.
I want to get into the week that the NBA had and Adam Silver. I have not addressed this yet, Skaz. I know Joe was on the other night. He had his 83 fraud.
Yeah, I don't want to say I'm on the polar opposite side of Joe, but not a popular take, I will say, I have on the BAM thing.
Well, let's do it next, because I want to hear your take, and I want to tell you, apparently, how wrong you are. 617-779-0985. Bad week for the NBA. Don't let Hoophead over there, Skaz, tell you that. We'll continue. It's McCarthy in for Joe.
You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5.
ChumbaCasino.com. Member NCUA.
Everybody knows Joe.
Just keeps getting better.
Joe Murray on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
I think actually Joe and I are going to be back Sunday morning. Looking forward to that. Get an update on how things went. Is that right, Skaz? Sunday morning, 11 o'clock? Be helpful if I knew my
Joe
own schedule.
Murray and Matt McCarthy with Jeff Williams.
Oh, that's a show right there.
11 to 2:30 on Sunday.
I'm very much looking forward to that. Joe was in the night. Bam Adebayo went off. You were in the night. Bam Adebayo went off. And Skaz, that was a mockery. A mockery of the game of basketball and a bad week for the NBA. A terrible, terrible week for the NBA, highlighted by what ultimately really was a farce. But you disagree. Your thoughts?
It was a farce, but every scoring record in the NBA is a farce. Devin Booker scored 70 at the Garden because the Suns went out of their way to do it, and his team lost the game. In Kobe's 82-point game, no one else in the Lakers shot in the final 7 minutes of regulation. Kobe had 2 assists the entire game. Bam had 3. So, I guess the edge to Bam there. But I don't blame Bam or the Heat for the mockery or the disgrace. It's the Washington Wizards because you look at the box score and you see the 40 2 free throws or whatever it was. There's numerous cut-ups out there, highlight packages of every foul the Wizards gave to Bam in this game. They were all fouls. They were hacking him the entire time. So, I think the pushback has been a little strong. Everything nowadays is hyperbole and in a vacuum and, it being the greatest farce ever. People are acting like the Washington Wizards are the first team to ever tank in the NBA and Bam is the first player to ever, realize another team is tanking and go off. Like, the guy scored 83 points in the NBA. Do I think it was totally legit? No. Do I think if he doesn't play the fourth quarter and goes out with 77, it's regarded as a much more impressive feat? Yeah, sure, absolutely. But to act like, they like, I don't know, like you want to say they cheated the game or whatever, fine. But I don't blame the Heat. I blame the Washington Wizards. They're a disgrace of a basketball team.
So actually, I totally agree with you. I couldn't agree more with everything you just said. And I don't really hold it against the Heat because you're right. If he goes out with 77 points, nobody remembers it. 2 days from now, nobody's talking about Bam Adebayo scoring 77 points against the Wizards. It's irrelevant. Passing Kobe is relevant. Now, that also gets, a lot of people up in arms. It's like you get protective of these records and protective of, people's legacies. And, it's, not my home run king, not my home run champion, not my, points. And obviously, Wilt scored 100, but people question that too.
Well, and that's why I think Wilt may be the biggest winner of this whole thing, because no one is going to go around now that's a big NBA fan and say Bam Adebayo is our all-time leading point scorer. Yeah. So I was a guy who was like, let me see the Wilt footage. Like, I want to see the footage. We have footage of everything from hundreds of years ago. We have footage of historical moments.
Civil War battlefields.
We have sporting events moments, too, from years and years ago. Babe Ruth.
Calling his shot.
Yes, all these things, but no footage of Wilt whatsoever. But now that I've seen Bam Adebayo score 83 points in the NBA with my own 2 eyes, well, Wilt scored 100. I think you almost have to bend the knee there and just say, yeah, if Bam scored 83, Wilt probably scored 100. And he took a bunch of free throws, and no one else on his team shot. All those things happened, but he probably scored 100 points.
You know what the problem is, though, for the NBA? There are a million problems that come out of this for the NBA, but Skaz, I think you're actually in the minority. I think you're embracing, whatever Bam did because you just say any scoring record involves some level of ridiculousness and mockery of the game, and it's not real basketball.
Remember when Rondo would try and get his 20 assists or whatever, and so, like, some of the stuff he would do, he'd pass it to himself to pass it to somebody else. Like, yeah, they're all kind of shams. Russell Westbrook's triple-double record where he's throwing a brick so he can get his own rebound time and time again, like. The sack record where the guy, Favre lays down for straight. Gastineau. The whole thing. So, like, I'm sorry to a lot of sports fans, but they're a farce, a lot of them, It's anything that isn't like a I don't know, like a career achievement, anything that can happen in a single game, there's an essence of flukiness to it.
It's true. So I hear what you're saying on that, but I think it's noteworthy that I think the fans have rejected this in such a resounding fashion. You are in the minority on it, and I hear your opinion. I like your opinion. I agree with your opinion, but that is a minority opinion. So what this ultimately speaks to is this is bad for the NBA. I mean, you can't, I've said this a million times, and I feel like the league continues to do this. You can't keep spitting in the face of your fans and expect them to keep liking the product, keep coming back to it, and keep being okay with it. And it's one thing to have this be kind of a stat humping type of, it's a mockery of the game and everybody's fouling this person and, Bam's getting quadruple teamed. And yeah, that exists. But the bigger place where the NBA does slap their fans in the face is with teams like the Washington Wizards. Every single night for years they've done this. They have no interest in winning. And by the way, you as a fan are asked to spend your evening tomorrow night watching the Celtics play that Wizards team. What is the purpose of that? I mean, I hate to say it. That's not like a don't watch the game. Do whatever you want with it. But the NBA is asking somebody to watch that Wizards product 82 nights a year. And it's asking fans in other cities to engage with a Wizards product for a team that has no interest in winning, hasn't tried to for years, and it's not like they're the only ones. A third of the league is doing what Washington's doing. You can't keep asking your fans to sit down a third of the nights in a season and watch something like that. You can't keep doing that. Not to mention, too, in other games where maybe you do have two teams who are interested in winning, which is an increasing rarity in the NBA, how many times are those teams fully rostered going into those games? Or are their best players sitting out 20, 25 games a year? You can't keep asking this of your fans. It's insulting to the fans. And part of me wonders if that's why there's so much visceral reaction directed at Bam, directed at the Heat. And it's easy too. They made a mockery of the game, but it's kind of like, yeah, it's the Heat. You keep fouling and you're doing it against a team that has no interest in winning. I almost feel like the overall anger is from the fans directed at the entire NBA product, not just the Heat, not just Bam, not just Spoelstra, not just a single entity. I think it's directed at the entire NBA product, as it should be, by the way, Skaz.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point, and I think this season, especially highlights that. I think this streak is over now, but I think it was early or late last week, early this week, where the bottom third of the league that is trying to lose was on a combined 43-game losing streak.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
You can't do that.
Very appropriate response, because that is an embarrassment to the league, to the strength of the league, which is, kind of, the most important thing for these leagues is parity and competitiveness. It doesn't have to be from top to bottom, 1 to 32 or 30, depending on the league. Happen. But you need at least more than that to be competitive, or at least not be actively, going out of their way to tank. The Utah Jazz and Danny Ainge are doing unheard of things this season to tank, benching their leading scorers at halftime multiple times, coming up with, bizarre reasons for guys to miss games. And, the NBA only has so much power, but it is kind of, a spit in the face to the fans. And the other thing too is the players limit now for awards. And I'm someone who's still in favor of it. I think if you don't play, if you miss 20% of the season, I do think you should be ineligible for awards. I think being out there is a massive part of being, the most valuable player and stuff like that. So I understand that part of it as well, but I'm, maybe in the minority as that, where I think that's a good thing because the NBA needs guys to be out there. And, maybe you end up with an MVP that's Cade Cunningham or something like that because of it. But SGA and Jokic, you can't miss 20-plus games or 15-plus, whatever it ends up being. So the NBA certainly has some work to do. And what kind of a weird, place we're in where the MLB is growing and seeing some kind of success in the NBA, while still growing and having a better global impact, you could say. They're hitting some rough patches here.
Baseball is surpassing the NBA. I mean, it certainly has in the ratings. I mean, the World Series ratings and the NBA Finals ratings now in back-to-back years. I mean, it's not even a fight. It's non-competitive, and that's not an accident. I mean, I've said this, Gaz. I'm a baseball person. I always have been, always will be. But and you're a basketball person. I was in your shoes 15 years ago. And for a long time, I fought it. I said, no, you're the problem. It's not baseball. You're the issue. You're ignoring it. I guess you just don't like baseball. Well, you know what? By the time about 2020 rolled around, I was like, these games are taking forever. There's no no balls in play. And the sport had to do something to fix itself. And again, you can't ask too much of your fans, especially in this day and age where there are a million things to do in the world. You need to give your fans a reason to engage. And I think consistently the NBA is spitting in the face of their fans. And this week's another example. Oh, by the way, not to mention too, the league is obviously rigged. And you have guys who are going to be going to federal prison for rigging these games. So there's that. Which is something the NBA has dealt with more than other sports. Not saying, I mean, we got gambling issues going on in baseball. We have gambling issues going on in all sports. But the NBA finds a way to go even farther. So watch out. I mean, Eric Spoelstra said today, he said, I apologize to nobody. Well, yeah, you might be right for the reasons that Skaz laid out to you, but are you going to apologize to the fans for the product that you're putting out there? Like, that's fine. You took care of your player. You did what you wanted to do so he could go out there and get 83 points, but you made a mockery of the game. And how many people did you turn off in the process? So, like, sure, don't apologize to anybody. They're not here to listen to you apologize because they're gone.
Eric Spoelstra should apologize, but it's not just for that game. It's for selling that he's a top 3 head coach in the NBA for the last 10 to 15 years and perennial being in the play-in with the elite Jimmy Butler and 83 point scoring Bam Adebayo. It's him being an elite coach that for some reason can't seem to get his team to take the regular season even somewhat seriously on a consistent basis. So they constantly end up in the play-in, and then you get to see the magic of Eric Spoelstra fight to win 1 or 2 playoff rounds and then fizzle out because they're traveling and facing the top-tier teams because they suck in the regular season.
I mean, what can I say? I mean, they he obviously cares very much about the regular season, as we saw the other night. I mean, you want to set records and everything. No wonder his guys play so hard for him. 617-779-0985 will continue. It's Matt McCarthy in for Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Well, Baseball Classic quarterfinal action right now. The United States with a 3-0 lead on Canada in the top of the 5th. Earlier tonight, the Dominican Republic slaughter-ruled Korea 10-0. That game ended after 7. Diana Rossini reporting that A.J. Brown will not be traded by the Matt McCarthy in for Joe Murray. Here until 10 o'clock. 617-779-0985. You know what really bugs me? I mean, many things, I guess. It's kind of a prerequisite to have this job, to work at this station, to be really unnecessarily bothered by many things. Things that really shouldn't affect you or your life in any way, but here I am, I guess. What bugs me is when you think you know something and then you don't. It's tough. You have to reevaluate, think about where you went wrong. You have to learn a new thing. You have to readjust your brain. All of those things. It happens all the time. I mean, you come in, you have a confident take, and then you realize that the information you thought you knew actually doesn't exist at all or is completely wrong, and that blows up your take. Trust me, it happens more than it should. But a person's name, that you think you should know. Now, I'm not very good with names. I'll meet people and go, Jesus, what's this guy's name again? You just do the, hey, how you doing, bud? And at that point, you really want to root for, I want to be with someone that I can introduce the person to. That's the pro move. Somebody comes up, Matt, how you doing? Good to see you. A long time. To say, hey, bud, how you doing? Oh, yeah, but this is my girlfriend. Hey, that you need it. Always travel in pairs wherever you go. That's my best piece of advice. Amazing for social circumstances. You can introduce the person. Hi, I'm, whatever. Boom, there you go. You know the trick. He's going to have to say, she's going to have to say, hi, my name is boom. And then you remember. And then you say it about 7 times just to prove that you were listening and you knew the person's name. But this happens in the sports world too. Didn't we have a Marcus Mariota situation where all of a sudden his name was different?
Was that him or was that the announcers? I can't remember.
I'm trying to remember.
I remember Big Jim. That really bothered him, if I remember correctly.
Again, it is a prerequisite to work here. Now, Jim has never been bothered by anything.
No, of course. No.
It's not bothered one bit. It's one of my favorite things about Jim. It's just very even-keeled. Never aggrieved by anything whatsoever. But we've had another one.
Marshan?
We still don't know. And then he tried to change it back. He was Marchand, then he was Marchand, then he tried to go back to Marchand. Now, the Canadian thing, that is what it is. The Canadian announcers, it's different every time.
Martin St. Louis.
How many times have you heard that? I was producing a Bruins game years ago. Remember the David Desharnais?
Yes.
Canadians, right? So I was producing, and Dave was still there. It was Dave and Bob, and they, went down to, the Canadians locker room after a win. They interviewed. They're like, "Hey, guys, we're gonna interview, David Desharnais," and he was like, "Guys, it's Desharnais." Like, okay,
since when?
Since now, apparently. There's something about the Canadians. They can't figure out the pronunciations, and it happens in hockey all the time. Every pronunciation is different. This almost never happens in football, though. This is our sport. We've got this figured out until today. We've had another name change.
So growing up, it's Travis Achan. So it'd be like Achane. And that's how you always said Travis Achan. But when I went to college, I kept telling them my name like every day. And like after like 4 weeks, they just couldn't get it. So I'm like, man, it's Etienne. Like how you see it is how you say it. So that's how that became, and it kind of took off because it was easy for the pronouncers to say it. I didn't have to just tell them. I didn't have to correct them every day to say my name, and just when I kind of just started learning more about my last name and how it came about and things like that, it just kind of stuck. It made sense, but I'm very much open to being Travis Achan again, just being myself. I don't have to correct people here on how to say my name each and every day, and I kind of love that, and that's just get back to me.
So the artist formerly known as Travis Etienne Jr. Is now gone home. So he's from Louisiana. He's signed with the Saints, and he says, hey, it's basically good to be back home where everybody's going to pronounce my name correctly because it's Travis Achan. Now, he didn't say junior.
He did not include the junior there.
So, I mean, what is it?
Maybe he's dropping that too.
He's no longer a junior?
He was Travis Etienne Jr. Maybe he's not. Travis Achan Jr.
I want confirmation on this. Is he just busting our balls?
I will be in New Orleans next week. I will do some recon on this.
Have you ever been to New Orleans?
Never.
Dude,
no.
You're going to love it.
Got some good recommendations?
I have some recommendations for you.
Pass them along, please.
You will never, ever eat so well and so badly as you're about to. It's the most. I love New Orleans. It's an absolute crap hole, but there's no crap hole like it.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's the culture, the people, the food. It's amazing. It's an amazing place. I guess I can kind of buy it because, right, with the Louisiana accent.
The Coach O,
Yeah. Maybe. Etienne. Part of me, though, wonders, there's Devon Achane.
Yes. Well, that was my first thought.
Now he's Travis H. Is he... Devon Achane had an incredible year. Is he just trying to, I don't know,
He's trying
be confused?
To ride the coattails there?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. He wants to be Achane. So now he is Achane. You can be anything you want to be. And I'm all for that. Now he's an Achane. He's not an Etienne. He's an Achane. But this gets to a bigger point, Skaz. Once you're something in sports, that's it. Remember Fausto Carmona?
Of course.
How could you forget Fausto Carmona?
He was, I can't remember his other name now.
Roberto Hernandez, I think.
Yes.
And I was like, wait a minute, that's Fausto Carmona.
Not anymore, it's not.
He always will be. To me, in my heart, he's Fausto Carmona. He was the artist formerly known as Fausto Carmona, but he always was. Now, I get that he never was, and he did that, reasons why he did that, but once you're a name in sports, a pronunciation, that's it.
There's only been a couple real successful ones. Giancarlo Stanton, I would say, has been successful. I don't really ever think of him as Mike Stanton anymore.
But that was so early in his career.
It was pretty early.
I mean, that was year 1 or 2 of his career. And you know what actually helped him in that scenario is Mike Stanton. I was like, the reliever for the Yankees in the late 90s? He became his own person. Travis Achane is now just Achane 2.0. That doesn't work. You can't be that guy. So yeah, Giancarlo Stanton, good one. That one worked. What are the other ones?
Brian Williams played 7 seasons in the NBA. Then he played 1 more as Bison Dele. I don't remember that.
I don't remember that. So I would characterize that as ineffective.
Ineffective, I would say. And then he retired. Oh, and then he may have been murdered by his brother, unsure, the article says.
Oh.
It says presumably. So what a twist. My condolences to Brian Williams.
I'm sorry. No, what was his?
Or Bison Delay?
Yeah, Bison, yeah. Where do we put Ocho Cinco on here? He's always Chad Johnson to me.
Yeah. Rod Smart was He Hate Me.
He Hate Me. I was also going to say, yeah. No, Ron Artest.
Free.
Ron Artest. We're missing the big one. Muhammad Ali.
Cassius Clay.
Yeah.
That was I think
but that's different.
There's a couple guys that did it for religious reasons.
Yeah. I mean, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yes, yeah.
And that's different.
Ahmad Rashad. It was Bobby Moore, I think. Yeah. So there's been a couple of them.
That's a different, instead of just, hey, you've been pronouncing my name wrong all these years. Dude, you had one chance at that point. They hand out pronunciations in every media guide anywhere. So all you need to do is just at the very beginning, there's going to be a media guy who's going to come up to you and phonetically, how do you say your name? All he had to do was say Achane in that moment. But my sense is he's riding the Devon Achane thing. Riding the coattails. Wants to be an Achane. It's like LeBron wearing 23. Everybody wanted to be 23, and then Kobe went to 24, one greater than. Just want to ride the coattails. It's too late. What's the statute of limitations on changing the pronunciation of your name? Not your actual name. The pronunciation.
That's a great question. It got to be 2 years, right?
I think 2 years. 2 years minimum. I mean, especially when you're an impact player in the league. I mean, Achane, just got $54 million? Not obviously all of that guaranteed, but No, I'm with you, Skaz. 2 years, statute of limitations on name change. So at that point, Brad Marchand would have been Brad Marchand forever. No,
Forever.
Marchand.
Lock it in. Lock it. Marchand.
Marchand. Can't go Marchand. Then a few years ago, he tried to go back to Marchand, and we rightfully rejected that. That was it. Enough's enough. We can't just keep playing this game. We can't keep putting the emphasis on certain letters, certain vowels, certain sounds in your name. Once your name is your name, once the pronunciation of your name is your name, that's it. Can't keep doing that. We'll continue. Wrap up this Marconi Award-winning radio program next.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the
888-5050.
Quick, smelly.
It's Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
I would say I'm kind of sad by that, but I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to go home. I enjoyed this job, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to go home. I'll be okay with that. I'll be happy with that. The 10 o'clock thing seems early. It's probably because I do a lot of, fill-ins for Joe over the summer where you go until 11. And by the way, Skaz, those are on the way.
I was talking to Tony Maz this week about just that very thing.
How's Maz feeling about that?
He seemed excited. Seemed ready to go. Seemed like he's got some... The Red Sox got a little juice. I think the end of the offseason helped them. Marcelo Meyer, Jarren Duran and Roman Anthony kind of off to a hot start. I think Red Sox fans are happy Garrett Crochet did not go to the World Baseball Classic. I saw Whitlock closing the other night, which was interesting to say the least, but he got it done. So I'm not a Garrett Whitlock as the closer guy. I think he is the setup man and should be because he's elite at that. But yeah, I think other than, the Toronto Blue Jays, the Red Sox, no reason for them not to be right at the top of the, American League East. I think the Blue Jays rightfully should be the favorites after going to the World Series in their offseason, but Red Sox should be right there. There shouldn't be another year of them, floundering to fight to get into a wild card. They should be safely in a wild card this year.
Should be
or win the AL East for once. That'd be nice.
Yeah, should be a good year to talk Red Sox. Should be a good year to talk baseball. I mean, the sport is back. I mean, it's obviously had a renaissance, and it's coming off an incredible World Series, which is, going to help. And the World Baseball Classic is going to, help with this. And you're right. I mean, Anthony and Duran having really good tournaments so far is good and exciting news for the team. But that does mean that Joe is going until 11 o'clock at night. Skaz is going until 11 o'clock at midnight on some certain game nights. I was asked about a midnight shift coming up here soon, which I will be doing. So 'tis the season for that. So get